Hello, everyone, and welcome to our end of year Disney Channel draft. And you may be wondering, Dill, it says Disney Channel original movie, and that's because I made a pivot and I took them in separate categories, took Disney Channel and Disney Channel original movies because we had so many panelists who were interested in talking about Disney Channel. So I said, you know what? In order to get 8 unique panelists on the show, we are going to split them up. So the first 4 panelists you see today are going to be for DCOMs. Tomorrow, you're going to see 4 more panelists for Disney Channel, which is going to be the series, the animation, Disney Junior, XD, all that stuff. But today, we're strictly keeping it to Disney Channel original movies, and we will talk about what exactly that entails in just a sec. But I got to bring in my panel because while I am surrounded by so many great Christmas gifts that I've received from all my beautiful friends, this is not what you want to see. You want to see 5 people here in this stream. So I am going to bring them in. First up, co-host of the channel, co-host of Picture This, which you guys saw last week at the time that this is airing. He is here. He's here for most drafts. He is Mr. Chad Webb. How's it going, Chad?
Hey, I just like drafting, okay? But when you mentioned DComs, man, I got like so excited, and then I just started binging a lot of them, and I went through so much like nostalgic, like my all throughout my childhood, basically, just crying a lot of
Oh
the
no,
times, but also like
happy tears.
having
Yeah.
so much joy as well.
Yeah.
So, if anything, this did it just like made me feel like a kid again. So
Yeah. I was
I'm
going to say
excited.
very generational draft, very nostalgic draft, and we'll probably see that echoed in all our panelists. So I might as well go in order of not to age people, but in order of age, just to show everyone where the generations go. Because Chad is representing kind of the beginning of the Disney Channel original movie watching crowd.
My hair's gray, so you
He
can
he
you can
was the
see. Yeah.
target audience when they started coming out. And now we have someone who was born slightly before the Disney Channel original movies came out, but was still like a baby during them, a mid '90s baby, if you will. We have Austin. Austin, welcome back to Draft Day. How's it going, man?
Oh, good. Anytime you say Disney or Survivor, I'm there. So
That's right.
here I am. I
It's
did
it's like
not
the
do a
lifeguard signal
rewatch
you
like
hear.
Chad did,
Yeah.
but I definitely did a lot of looking into and just reading a lot of like the titles. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it takes you back, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
you
sure.
read the taglines and the log lines and the synopses, and you're like, oh yeah, that one.
Yeah,
Because they also have so many stars that you can like link to as well.
yeah.
It was always a good reflection of who was big on the Disney Channel at the time too.
Hmm.
So we're happy to have you here. Your second draft, you did the Disney 100 draft a whole year ago. So we're back,
Yeah.
and he does our Survivor drafts. Who else? Oh, I'm not going to introduce her next because that is going in order of
Our
generations.
youngest, our youngest is
So we'll save
later.
her for a sec. But we're also Carly today. Carly, a frequent guest here. I'll put your name up there because you have a fun one here. Carly the Disney Witch, because there are a lot of spooky DComs to choose from. But how you doing, Carly? Welcome.
I'm good. I'm on my winter break. My hair's blue. We're drafting Disney. I'm having a great time.
Absolutely. We love that. Yeah, Carly kind of represents the cusp of transition from millennial to Gen X. If depending on where the cutoff is, if it's 97, 98, it's somewhere around there. That is kind of the cusp there. And then I kind of fall in right after that cusp. So I call myself a cusp millennial Gen Xer, a Gen Zer, sorry. I got Survivor on the brain. But who else has Survivor on the brain? Someone you've seen on Survivor drafts, but never draft day. She's representing the youngest demographic for us all, but we are roughly around the same ballpark. But it is Ingrid. Ingrid, how's it going? Welcome.
Hi, and there's a cat.
There's a cat.
Hello. I'm super excited to be here and to be able to be a part of a draft day. That's so fun. Anytime that you will have me on a podcast, I'm very excited to jump in. So, yes, I was born in the year 2000. So I'm
I mean,
definitely
a lot of people feel very old there and very
yes,
young at the same time.
I'm definitely the baby of the group, but I have some very strong nostalgia for some very specific Disney Channel original movies. So I am excited to see if that is good for me or not, depending on where my other friends are thinking as well.
That's right. And for anyone who hasn't been on an Austin and Ingrid draft on our Survivor podcast, things get competitive, and I
They
cannot
do.
wait to see what happens because they don't share a lot of information with one another, which is always fun to see. And especially for this one because Survivor, at least they've done a little bit of their own drafting separately,
Yeah.
so they have an inkling what they like. But this should be no exception. But I feel like we've been so free. This is the most chatting behind the scenes I've had for a draft beforehand because everyone's kind of like teasing their picks but not tipping their picks. So it's been kind of fun just kind of getting into people's heads and seeing exactly what the strategy is going to be headed into it. But without further ado, let's get into the rules of this draft. Here are the rules for the Disney Channel Draft Day, the Disney Channel Original Movie Draft Day, I should say. There are 5 rounds total. You will each get to pick 5 films of the Disney Channel Original Movie canon. There are plenty of films to choose from. Do not worry, you will get 5. Even if you have to dig into some you've never seen, though I think we all have at least probably 25 we've seen. But some we really want, and that's what we're going to be duking it out for here. The draft is snaked, meaning whoever is 5th pick in the first round will have the second pick of the, or will have the first pick of the second round. So you get back-to-back picks if you are in that 5 slot or in that 1 slot on the wraparound. If you are the 3rd slot, you get the middle pick every single round, which is kind of cool. For this particular draft, you must draft 5 DCOMs from the official list that I provided from D23. Obviously, there are different lists on Wikipedia and everywhere else, but like if there's an issue where we're like, is that a DCOM? You know, your High School Musical 3s, your Hannah Montana, the movies that ended up in theaters, not on Disney Channel, at least didn't premiere on Disney Channel, then we can veto picks. If we get 3 out of the 4 other panelists vetoing, then we will be able to overturn the pick. Don't veto strategically. Veto if you think it's against the parameters of the draft. And please do not tip picks. I know it's tough. If it's a sequel or a part of a series, like obviously you can talk about the other films, but you know, don't be like, hey, they also starred in this Disney Channel original movie. Like, let's wait till we get there, and then at the very end, if we have honorable mentions that weren't mentioned throughout the stream, then we can bring them up then. Okay, so we always do this but via wheel spin, but because it was very testy in the chat today of worrying who's going to steal whose pick from whom, I'm going to shuffle the wheel a few times so you all know this is fresh. This is not a video. This is not any shenanigans, even though it never is, but I just want to be fully transparent. There's a shuffle button right here. I'm shuffling it. Hold on. It's hard to show you. And
It's already rigging it.
You see? I'm shuffling. Do you see it shuffling?
Oh, it zoomed in.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's trying because I double clicked the shuffle there. Shuffle. You guys see it shuffling?
Yes.
All right, it's shuffled
You're
a few
good,
times.
Dylan.
All right,
You're good.
I'm fully transparent here, and you will get to be picking your spot in the draft order. Oh my god! Oh,
The wheel never likes me. Oh my god!
oh, I shouldn't have even shuffled it, Carly.
You already know. Number one.
Okay,
Oh
this
my
was gonna be where you know I was gonna make a joke if I got it that I rigged it, but now I can't make any jokes because Carly's the person I did not want to go before me because I think we both have the same number 1. Okay, that did not go well. All right, and it looks like it's gonna be either Chad or Austin. It's gonna be Austin. Austin, would you like to go 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th?
I'll go 3rd.
3rd. All right, keeping you right in the middle there where you
Yep.
are. Maybe we'll all just stay where we are here. Maybe. Ingrid, are you going to go 2nd, 4th, or 5th?
I'm going 2nd, so Austin can't take my stuff.
Okay, there you go. So between me and Chad, because I guess we've had a lot of luck with wheels, and then this year they just decided to throw us.
Wow,
yeah,
Dylan.
that would be the irony here of being so transparent that I couldn't rig it, that I inherently rig it against myself. All right, Chad, you want 4th or 5th?
Well, he definitely didn't rig it against himself, that's for sure. I don't know. I'll just go 5th. I'll get the wraparound.
Of course, and that would have been my second pick. If I couldn't get first, if Carly got first, I would have liked 5th. So, you know, I'm ending up in the least desirable spot right now. It is okay, though, because you know what? It's going to be the new year, and New Year resolution will be to, you know, be a little bit less upset about my draft placements. But okay, here we go. Carly, we've been going at it back and forth in the chat. I'm worried you're going to take my number 1.
So curious what
Go
this
ahead
is.
and take it.
Okay, the movie I have probably watched literally hundreds of times. I am picking High School Musical 2.
Yeah,
Yep, that was my number 1 as well.
my number 1 as well.
Choice.
I was pretty sure it would be pretty sought after, so I was very because I had my backup, but this was truly just literally the first one I thought of. It's so good. It's so colorful and fun. The dancing is great. The songs are all amazing. Gotta Go My Own Way, like literally the amount of times I sang that, I just was obsessed with it. I was obsessed with the whole musical. I watched it so many times that like my mom would threaten to turn off the TV. She was like, no, we don't need to watch it again. She would turn it off. I love it. I can't even say like everything that I love about it because it's just so freaking good. Like I just love it with my whole heart. it has possibly the gayest scene I have ever seen in DCOM, where we're literally, there is no heterosexual explanation. Chad and Ryan just switch clothes, and like they don't comment on it. It just happens, and literally made me lose my mind on like I didn't question it as a kid, obviously, but like it's so good. I love it so much. I have all the songs on my on all my playlists. I love it. I can't. It's just so amazing and great, and other people should talk about how great it is because I love it, and I am so glad I got it.
I knew this was the one you wanted, and it's the one I wanted, and I was being a little cheeky in the draft, trying to teeter you on picking maybe a spooky pick, because I do have like a 1A 1B scenario here, but this was like 1A, like this was the one I wanted. But I understand, if I'm fourth pick in the draft, I was not going to get it. Even if you didn't pick it, I was not going to get it, because I'm sure Ingrid or Austin would have picked it. Yeah, there you go. It's a classic for me. It is. It's not just my favorite Disney Channel original movie. It's one of my favorite movies, period. Musicals, everything, like top 25, 30 maybe. Because it does hold that nostalgic piece of my heart that, it's probably the movie I've rewatched the most in my lifetime. It's it's exceptional. And it also builds so well upon the first film. A very easy premise of like, oh, basketball or singing. But this one, it just takes everything to a new level. You feel just so more engrossed with the characters that you didn't in the first film, like Chad, like Taylor. I almost called her Monique Coleman. You know who I meant. It's just such a good sequel. And I think the biggest thing is the music. Like the music, they just one up it. Every single song in the first one, there is a better version of that type of song in the second. And I think that is the key to making a great sequel, especially of this quality for Disney Channel. There's a reason the third one became a theatrical release, because they said, you know what? The only thing to do now that we've upped the songs and upped the character, is to up the production value. And I think it definitely showed in the third one. So big fan of this. I love a summer pool party-esque vibe, as you said, so colorful. Everything looks great. Some of these Disney Channel original movies, especially the ones that are more sci-fi fantasy related, sometimes the effects look bad. This one doesn't have that downfall, that pitfall. So and Chad and Ryan are super gay for each other. So that is it for my thoughts. I will let Ingrid talk next. As your first draft day appearance, were you upset that you didn't get High School Musical here? Or High School Musical 2, I should say. Sorry.
So I created like a tier list on a piece of paper of like which movies I wanted the most, like the next tier, kind of like to frame my thought process. High School Musical 2 is in that first tier. I definitely think I'm not as passionate about it as you guys seem to be, but that does not mean that I don't love it. I absolutely do. I think it has the best songs out of any of the films. It's so much fun. Like y'all said, I probably rewatched it a ton as well. High School Musical as a series of films was kind of like my introduction to Disney Channel original movies as a child. So like, to give you a frame of my generationalness. So they definitely mean a lot to me. Gabriella was my icon. Seeing a Latina singer woman on television as a little girl was huge. So yeah, it's a fantastic movie. I had like the whole Barbie set with the pool and the golf cart and everything. Like I absolutely love it. So I think it's a great first pick. I'm glad it's represented. I knew it would be. But it was not the one that I was terrified would get taken from me.
All right, so, and you're gonna get that in the next pick.
I am. But I'm
we'll let Austin and Chad weigh in, but Ingrid seems very happy that she's getting her number one overall. Austin, how do you feel? You said this was gonna be your number one. How do you feel about this?
It was my number one. I'm bummed, obviously, as we both are. No, I have my own personal feelings about like which High School Musical movie is the best, and I think the answer is all of them in their different ways. I've always said that I think if you're looking for the one to watch for like the best music, then you take 2. Like I think 2 has definitely the best soundtrack of the 3. I think I think the main pull of 1 is just the nostalgia factor of it, and like it is the thing that got it all started. But I agree with you that I think 2 just does a really good job of expanding upon all the characters and everything that 1 sets us up with. I think 3 has the best story, but we can't draft 3. So it's not
Okay.
involved in this.
There
So
you
if you could only look at 1 and 2, I do think 2 has the better storyline as well. So I think if you're taking a High School Musical movie and you're taking it in the first round, I think High School Musical 2 is the pick, where I think there's probably gonna be some people out there that are like, how could you even say that? But I completely agree with this pick, and I'm bummed that it wasn't, because I knew Ingrid wasn't going to take it. So I knew I could have gotten it if it wasn't Carly's pick.
And if it wasn't Carly, if I was in the number 1 spot, you wouldn't have lost it anyway.
Yeah.
So, you were bound to not get it, Austin, but you will get something good because you do have the 3rd pick. Chad, I know you recently watched these last year for the first time. I know you probably weren't thinking of drafting them, but what are your thoughts on High School Musical 2?
Yeah, I mean, as you just alluded to, these 4 lovely people here are at least 6 years younger than me. The next youngest or oldest person is 6 years younger than I am. So I grew up watching stuff even before like DCOMs actually started. So like when like the first one came out, I was just early. I guess technically the second one, if you look at that list that Dylan sent me. I started like religiously watching a lot of these. But when High School Musical started to come out, I was like actually like about to graduate, so high school. So I was just really phasing out of DCOMs at that time, like right before it came out. So much so that the first High School Musical came out, and they would do, get your head in the game, and I would like roll my eyes, and I hated Zac Efron. So I was like kind of that idiot, back then.
Oh,
but luckily though, I got to watch all 3 of those movies in a really fun, great watch along with Dylan and Carly, and had a fantastic time doing it. Although I haven't been able to go back and rewatch them since, to like watch them on their own merit without like a watch along, because it's not like the best format to watch something for the first time. Although I still had a lot of fun because of the songs. And this one in particular, I thought was extremely fun. Like, this is the one that has the baseball sequence, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the one I love. Bet on It. I think that's a great song. So there's a lot to love in this, and I get why it's some people's number 1, and why they would go like, I need that one, precious, kind of a deal. But mine's gonna be a little older. So
No problem. Yeah, 3 of the 5 panelists had it as their number 1, and that is why it is number 1 overall. It makes sense. But Ingrid, you are going to follow up with your number 1 pick. Let's tell us what it is.
Yeah, so I think this being my number 1 is also a product of like my generation and my age. But this is one of the only movies that I think topped the High School Musical series for me. Growing up, I mean, like it's probably one of my first like big movie hyperfixations as a child. And I had the CD of the soundtrack from the movie, and I would open up like the little lyrics, and that was how I memorized all of them. And I like would put on a concert for my sister who did not care, like the whole 9 yards. And the movie I am choosing is Lemonade Mouth.
Nice.
Which you were making me nervous by reminding everybody it existed today in the chat. Congratulations, Queen Bridget Mendler.
Hit platinum today, or gold, or what?
Gold, I believe. Yeah.
Gold.
I love Lemonade Mouth so much. I love it so much. I can never I don't even know if it's considered a critically good movie, but I don't care. It was The Breakfast Club for me before The Breakfast Club, because I hadn't seen it yet at that age. And I should have known that I was a little bit queer when I was dressing up as Haley Kiyoko as Stella Yamada, on the daily after watching it. But the songs are fantastic. I wanted them to go on tour so badly as a band. All of that stuff. I just think it's a really great underdog story. Like I said, I love the music. I love the characters. There's something rootable in each of them, but there's also something flawed in each of them, which I really appreciate. And yeah, I just love that movie so much. And I feel like it's a little bit of an unpopular pick for someone of my generation. I think that there are other movies that people tend to look at first before they look for Lemonade Mouth. So, and I'm sure they will be drafted probably. So I won't say what they are, but I love Lemonade Mouth so much, and I'm so glad that I have it.
Cool. Yeah, this is a very popular one. Like just looking online and what other people, put on their list and stuff. I'm looking at Letterboxd. It's got a 3.6 on Letterboxd, which is very good.
Nice.
And it's got if you look at like the star, like the curve, it's got more 5-star reviews than it's got any other type of star review. So it's a very popular one.
I am one of them.
Yeah, I do think it is that kind of movie for a generation. I feel like every few years there was like that real hit musical, at least in those like 2000s era. So I think it just depends on where you're born. Like I think I stopped watching some DCOMs around like 2010, so like right before Lemonade Mouth came out.
Yeah.
So I didn't see this. I still haven't seen this, so I got to check it out.
Oh my gosh!
And now I will.
Yes,
it's
excited. My favorite.
Yeah,
I literally went to school as Stella Yamada like for weeks.
Love that.
Yeah, love it.
Awesome. Austin, was this one you were worried of getting sniped away from you? Because you are next.
I knew Ingrid was going to take it, and I joked with her all day that I was going to take it if I went before. I was never actually going to take it, but I just needed to make sure she took it and used her pick to not take something that I was going to actually want. If she went before me, Lemonade Mouth is good. It's a good movie. It's not something that I'm similar. I have seen it, but it's also like not
in
something
that prime
that super impacted me the way that it impacted her. So
I always joke that he was like significantly too old for this movie when it came out.
But I am happy for her.
I was gonna say 3 or 4 years will really do a difference. Like really, like looking at all the cutoffs and stuff. Also, I feel like at that point, like 2011-ish, like they stopped replaying a lot of the older ones. Like I feel like when I was really deep into Disney Channel original movies, they would still replay the ones from the 90s a lot. That's why there's a lot of 90s ones on my list, because I feel like they just got reran a lot. Whereas here, I think like Lemonade Mouth, I wish I had been 1 year younger so I could have experienced the hype of it. Chad, have you seen this one? Is this one that escaped your time?
Yes, it did. Of course, it came out after High School Musical, but Dylan was talking to me, and he was telling me, he was like, hey, are you just watching stuff that you grew up with? And I was like, guilty. And then he was like, well, here's some other popular ones like of later. And then
just so you could have talking points, not thinking you would actually draft them, but just be like, these are the big like cultural ones that like maybe will be brought up, and good thing it was, because. And
so this, you did throw this one out, and you were like, this one's actually really popular, and I remember hearing the name of it, and I was like, what is it called? Lemonade Mouth. All right. And then I looked it up. I saw that it was like the title of a band. I started watching it, and I just watched the whole thing. I really liked it. You said it was like a 3.6. That's right on the money. I gave it like a 3.5. But yeah, when you're thinking about like, critical reception, I don't think like DCOMs is like that's like the first thing that you want to look at. It's just like, how does it make you feel? And honestly, like the music in this was just like next level, like incredible. It's like a not just a DCOM. I don't even want to say that. Like it's like limiting if it's a DCOM. Like the music that you guys talked about High School Musical too. The music in some of these things are just so next level, top notch. And I was like, wow, like this is like pop stuff that would be popular right now. Like I think Sabrina Carpenter could sing any of those songs and it would be number one. And the other thing got me really excited about this one is that I didn't know Naomi Scott was in it. And I fell in love with her this year, like watching Smile 2, and after that, seeing her in this, I was like, wow, she's got like a lot of really great range. So I mean, I've seen her in other stuff, but yeah, this one, the only thing that like really like almost like really bummed me out was the sick cat thing, and I was like, no, this is gonna really like bum me out. But it ended up being fine, so sort of. But yeah,
nice.
Really great pick.
Nice. Carly, have you seen this one?
I have not seen this one. Like you, it just kind of missed the mark when I was watching DCOMs. But hearing that Kaylee Kiyoko and Naomi Scott are in it, I definitely
It's iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I really want to watch this now. Like
They are
this
baddies.
is awesome.
We
the
should
fact
do
that
a
it's
watch
number 2 on
along.
this list- Yes, let's do it. Let's do it. Right after this. No, I have another one that I'm gonna watch right after this because I promised another person who's not on this draft that I would, and I didn't get around to it in time, which would make Chad feel better because I know it's on his list. All right, let's move on to Austin now. He said his number 1 pick, High School Musical 2, has been taken. What is your next favorite DCOM, or at least what's the next one you're gonna pick? Because we might not be picking necessarily. Our number ones.
So, like I said in our chat, I made a list of 25. My top 7 is where I am the most like my heart is with my top 7, and I have been not the best podcast co-host because I've not really been listening to the things you guys have been saying for the past like 3 minutes about Lemonade Mouth, because I have been sitting here contemplating my next choice. Looking at my next.
It's okay. I'm fine if you're a little distracted, as long as you're distracted on the topic. As long as it's visible that you are.
Topic.
Yes.
I am looking at my 2, 3, and 4 spot. Like, which one do I take? And if I take one, in 4 picks, will one of the others still be here? Or after 8 picks, will 2 of the others still be here? Can I get all 3 of these? And I'm looking at you and I'm looking at Chad as the next 2 people going. And thinking more about like the era of DCOM I think you 2 are going to pick versus the era of DCOM I think Carly and Ingrid would pick. And I am going to take what is my number 2 on my list. A movie that as soon as Disney Plus was released, I watched this movie. This was my very first thing I watched on Disney Plus because I have such a nostalgia for it. It was one of my favorite DCOMs when I was a kid. And I will be taking Smart House.
Interesting.
Oh, Chad.
Oh no. I love Smart House. It was something that when I would check like the TV guide as a kid, or like the channel guide on like Comcast or whatever we had, and I would go into the night and see what DCOM was going to play at night. If it was Smart House, I had my night set. That was my plan. That was what I was doing that night. It's so clever. It's so much fun. I just remember being a kid and wanting that house, minus the crazy AI trying to take over. But I have such a soft spot for Smart House, and I was very fearful that specifically Chad was going to take it if I did not. And based on his reaction, I could tell that I made the right decision in taking it here.
Yeah. Chad, anything to respond there? Because it seems like you were the most directly affected by this shot.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely one that I adored, like, right away. When it came out, I probably saw it like the night it aired. That's how hardcore I was with these things. I was just like, remember just like watching Disney Channel and seeing the promos for them and stuff. And it's like, every like week that one dropped, I was there. And Smart House was definitely one that I adored. There on my rewatch as an adult, there were 3 DCOMs that made me cry, and this was one of them. Because one, it's really great because it's kind of relevant to today because we're getting more and more into AI. And I could see like a fully automated house, once Elon actually gets kicked out of the government, maybe he'll start working on that. Sorry to go super political, but he'll start working on that. And then, we'll have some crazy house that's gonna, attack you or something like that, like happens in this, because AI is scary, guys. But there's that, but then you have the mother, the loss of a mother, that thing that happens in this. And just like the crux of the movie, that everybody, like the stamp that the mother has left on the family, and the fact that they're just all trying to like recapture that feeling or regain some sort of sense of normalcy after the loss of a mother. And so like that just like really got to me. And it's corny, of course. A lot of DCOMs are, but I feel like, especially if you have the nostalgia for it, this is definitely one of the top tier DCOMs you can watch. So great pick, of course. I have others, but this was in my 5 for sure.
Yeah. It's very interesting because like when I was looking at a bunch of lists of stuff to watch for the first time, because I had never seen this one, this is one that kept coming up as like an epitome of Disney Channel original movies, because it kind of is that kind of wacky, stupid, silly, but also has a lot of heart. So I did watch this today. This was my only like first time watch for this draft. And I didn't vibe with it, but I think it is kind of what Chad said, like very based in nostalgia. It's like, do you have that fondness for watching it as a kid? And I found it a little too silly, a little too corny, a little too am I breaking up?
No.
Uh-oh. No?
No, you're
Nope,
good.
you're good.
Am I frozen? No, okay. Sorry, I thought I froze for a second. Everything was glitching. Very apropos for a movie we're talking about, Smart House. But yeah, it's one that I didn't fully sink into because I don't know, it was just a little too of its time in terms of the visuals and stuff. I couldn't really just get into it, but I do want to rewatch it now because you guys speak so highly about it. So I'll throw it over to Ingrid. Have you seen Smart House?
I have not. Which is
We will be seeing it shortly.
I was gonna say, which is funny because we're married and I don't think we've ever talked about Smart House like this ever. Like I'm learning new information. Oh
we
no,
lost him.
he's gone. I'm gonna keep talking, I guess.
Recording, so.
But yeah, we've been married for a very short amount of time, but we've been together for a while and we have never really talked about how much of an impact this movie had on you as a kid. So that's like fun new lore for me, I guess. And I will definitely give it a shot thanks to how highly both of you have spoken about it. I'm sure that a little bit of what Dylan said will probably be true for me as well. Just like, because sometimes, the cheese can be a lot for me. But it depends on what it is. Obviously, like nostalgia is a big part of this draft. Yeah, Smart House was not even on my list anywhere on any of my tiers. So it's cool to know that that's such an important part of your childhood that I just don't know about. That we're married.
Well, I thought you did. I thought you did know because we were watching the ranking when Smart House popped up. You looked at me.
I only looked at you because I was like, that movie's old and you're old. So,
okay.
I had no idea. Oh no, he's gone again.
Well, Carly, I'm sure he would say, Carly, what are your thoughts about Smart House?
Go ahead.
I would say. So I liked it quite a bit as a kid, but I haven't rewatched it. I do remember really liking it because it's kind of at the end it's kind of like a horror movie, but for kids. Because the house is just attacking them, and I remember being pretty scared as a kid. So I did like it quite a bit. I just don't have much to say other than it was entertaining, and I do kind of want to revisit it now just to see if it feels even scarier with all the recent technology developments and all that. But
and it's got like Katie Siegel in it, who's like legendary and stuff, like Sons of Anarchy and Married with Children and stuff like that. So
definitely huge name there.
Yeah, she plays the oh god, what is the Smart House's name?
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the house itself, but
it would come to me.
I'm gonna do what Dylan would do in this moment and pull it up on Letterboxd.
Yeah,
when
because Dylan's not here and
when
he
looking
drafts
for a
next,
way to fill time.
He says
he has to do a reset.
Smart House came out in
Yeah, he said he did.
1999.
Mhm.
It has a
I was not
rating
alive.
of- a
I was
rating of
9.
2.8 stars.
2.8 is crazy.
Pat is the name of the house.
Pat, that's right.
And it has that's Katie Seagal.
Well, it's got Ryan Merriman in it. He's
Ryan
great.
Merriman,
He's
Kevin
in many
Kilner.
DCOMs.
Yeah. There he
He's
is.
back.
It says I'm back, but if it's still glitchy, I'll change computers. Can you all hear me fine?
Yes.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys. Did everyone get to talk about Smart?
Yes, everyone talked about it. We pulled up Letterboxd to fill time.
I feel like I feel like I talked shit about Smart House, and then the Smart House
And
literally
then dip.
took me and kicked me out and said,
Yeah.
"Shame on you." So
Technology.
I,
We just
said
talked
no,
about
you're not
how I'm
allowed.
married to Austin and had no idea this was an important part of his like
All right.
childhood lore.
I'll have to watch this back and see if I have to cut any of that out. But if not, we'll just keep going. We'll keep trucking along. It is
I
my
think
pick.
we
That's
held
why.
it together pretty well.
That's why I couldn't tell you like, oh, just pick the next pick because I am the
you
next
are.
I think we
um,
did a great job. Just saying.
and I alluded to this in the chat a little bit. Like my favorite time of year for DCOMs is spooky season. I love the spooky jack-o'-lantern, witch, black cat, all that around this time of year. And yes, my number one was High School Musical 2, but I also knew it was going to be such a popular one, such a sought after one that I was like, you know what? For DCOMs, for a list that is so generational and so reflective of our own taste, there was one I was going for this draft, and it wasn't HSM2. I knew Carly would probably take it, but I was worried Carly was trying to battle me out for this one, and that is Twitches. I freaking love it. I know what you thought it was going to be, Austin, and Chad messaged me earlier about it too, so he knew what I was picking. But yeah, Twitches, it is the one that, like, I'm looking at my DCOM ranking. I have 3 films that have not been drafted above this movie on my ranking in terms of quality, but just something about it just brings me back to my childhood. Like, this was the annual Halloween watch. When this came out, I watched it, I kid you not, 3 times a day, every day for like 4 weeks. Like, I'm looking at the date it came out, and it came out, let's see, October 14th, 2005. So that gave me about 16 days before Halloween. So I probably watched it about, what's 16 times 3? Anyone do math really well? 16
Austin.
times 3. Austin, do you have it? Like
He's a math
54?
teacher.
I don't know, 54? Does that sound right?
48.
48. I was close. 48 times probably by the time Halloween rolled around in 2005. Like, this one was like my personality. I loved it. I was spooky. Watching it back, the effects aren't great, but I think when you guys were talking about Smart House, it's like, yes, the effects aren't great, but like, you have such a nostalgia for it, you can't really see that. That's me with Twitches. I go back and I love it. It adds to the charm. Whereas, like, I feel like if I were to watch it today, I wouldn't like it as much. But I think because I was at the right time, right age. I mean, Tia and Tamara were past the sister phase at this point. Like, they were big names, but weren't like at the center of the zeitgeist. So it was cool to see them get like their own like central leading project. I think the lore and the mythology of the whole family background and where they came from, the whole premise is great. Twins separated at birth, that when on their 21st birthday they will finally come together to fulfill this prophecy because they're both witches. Like, it is just such a great, exciting premise. And I think, you know, the side characters are fun. The two kind of like henchmen people who get married in the second one, like, I love them. I forget their names, but great villains, just great lore, great sense of atmosphere, great Halloween flair. I know there's a more popular spooky season pick out there rolling around, which I might take on the wraparound. We'll see, Austin. But
The one that you're thinking of still isn't even the one that I want, so it'll be okay.
all right, well, we'll see. But yeah, I'm very happy to have Twitches here in the one. If I had the number 1 overall pick, I probably would have picked this because I think this is just one of those unique drafts where I don't see this ending up on a lot of other drafts. That, like, I really wanted to represent Twitches in the number 1. And I think it came out right before.
7.
Yeah, it came out right before it came out a few months before the first High School Musical. So like, this until then was like my obsession. That is kind of my obsession with Disney Channel original movies, because the first Disney Channel original movie I saw was also in 2005. So like, 2005 was the year I got into these. So that's my pick, Twitches. Carly, was this one that you were thinking about? Did I have a reason to worry battling you for this pick?
No.
Okay.
I do. It was in my like it a lot tier, but not in my love it tier.
So I wasted my breath all day, basically. I really wanted this so hard. I was gonna Venmo you $5. I don't need to, though.
I do think it is a really good pick. Because I really like this movie. It's so freaking good. Like they're sisters and they're witches and they're fighting dark magic. And like, I love their little moon and like sun necklaces. They're like, the aesthetic of that is just so awesome. Like, it's really good. I recently rewatched the sequel, and I don't know if it just hasn't aged well or if the sequel is just not nearly as good as the original. But yeah, Twitches, the original one, is definitely like superior. And yeah, I love it. It's great. It's cute, and love the aesthetic of it all, and just it's a great pick. It's a great pick. Not one I thought would go this early, but I'm glad it did.
I do like the second one a lot, but I think it's also because I just love the first one, and I saw like that was an event. Whenever like Disney Channel original movie got a sequel, you knew it was a big deal because it showed how popular and how much people are craving it. There's a lot of good sequels out here up for grabs. We've already taken one. Chad's laughing. What did I say?
No, something like was going on in the house. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, no worries. It was the smart house. Pulling pranks on me once again. Chad, have you seen Twitches?
So I'm not actually sure if I have seen Twitches.
Hmm.
I was even just talking to Carrie. I was like, "Have you seen Twitches?" And we were both like, "I'm not sure," because I know I've seen a lot of Sister Sister, and even when Taj Mowry got Smart Guy, I watched a lot of that. So I remember seeing them on screen a bunch, and I think I probably did watch Twitches at one point, but I just don't remember it that well. Is Taj in Twitches?
I don't think so. No,
I don't believe so.
I think there's another movie that all three of them are in that I watched. I don't know what the heck that was, but yes, that's my vague memory of this. I'm sure it's great, and actually, if I don't,
you might be thinking of 17 again, which is Taj is in that one. It's the three.
That's probably
That's
it.
probably what you see. Yeah,
and if I don't end up watching it soon as like because I've been watching DCOMs for this, but I think I'm just going to keep going and try to like watch all of them. If I don't watch it for this, then I'm definitely watching it next October. So
good. Well, you have to report back to me because it's one of my favorites. Austin, was this one that was teetering on your list?
Yeah, it's in that top 7 that I said was really important to me.
Good
it was
move,
number 7 in the top 7.
Okay.
But it is in the top 7. It is my second favorite spooky time DCOM.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't really have much more to add that hasn't already been said. It's a fantastic movie. I'm really bummed that it went not on my draft.
Okay. You'll get something from me, I'm sure. Ingrid, what are your thoughts on Twitches?
Yeah. Dylan, I think that 2005 is like our 1 year age difference really shows only in the year 2005.
Okay.
Because obviously I turned 5 in 2005, which I feel like is like some of my earliest like memories of existence. And like I've definitely seen Twitches. I don't remember it very well. It wasn't one that like left a huge impact on me. Honestly, most of the spooky ones were not ones that I grew up watching. A lot of them I've watched either as like a late teenager with nostalgia, like for nostalgia with people who were nostalgic for it, or like as an adult. But like I know Hocus Pocus is not a DCOM, so it's not available for this, but like I saw Hocus Pocus for the first time the year Hocus Pocus 2 came out. That kind of like vibe.
Right.
I do like it. I like Tia and Tamara. I think that like everything that you're describing sounds like something I would enjoy. So I definitely want to revisit it. I do remember the sun and the moon necklaces and things like that. So there's like fragments in my brain a little bit that just need to be kind of explored more. But I'm excited to go back and rewatch it because I definitely have seen it. I put it in my tier 4, which was like movies that I vaguely remember that I know a lot of people love. It's like
that like if
in
you had on
case
your
I
draft
end
board,
up with like
yeah,
like I can say that I like it, I've still seen it.
Okay.
So yeah,
I've also been sitting here trying to think of what the sidekicks' names were. Ileana and Karsh finally came.
Karsh, that's what it was. I knew Ileana. I
finally came to me.
I was gonna say Cal, but I might be thinking of a certain other movie. All right, cool. Chad, you get 2 picks now back to back. It looks like you wanted Smart House, but everything else so far that's been taken was a little bit past your generation. So you're gonna get some good ones here, I'm sure, for you. So what would you like first?
Yeah, I have like a good like top 5. I'm just trying to figure out what order to draft them, but I think I'm gonna go with like one of my very first ones. And I'll say it like this: Cetus Lapidus, Xenon, the girl of the 21st century, is going to be my first pick. Carrie and I like just watched it. We were actually kind of finishing up during this, but I remember a lot of it. I actually, Really love this movie. I remember Kirsten Storms was like one of my first like crushes as a kid. I just remember it being like, this epic kind of like space station movie. I thought was like really cool, but it takes a turn where it's like a bit of a fish out of water kind of movie as well. Where, when they get grounded, I guess they have to go to Earth. So I think that's like a really cool kind of twist. It's really, really funny, really fun. Raven Simone is actually also in this. She plays the sidekick. Fortunately, she doesn't get a lot of screen time because she just kind of stays on the space station. But, it's kind of still like an iconic, thing with them. I think their like uniforms are iconic. Their speech is kind of iconic to where, it kind of feels a little bit. And Dylan and I have had a lot of conversations like this where it's like how millennials talk versus how Gen Z talks a lot of the times. And just like how the lingo kind of can get lost in translation at times. It's like how Earth people talk versus people who were born and raised on the space station. And they say things like Cetus Lapidus and, mistake major, and stuff like that. And even the kids on Earth are like, no, you say it like this. And then I'm like, not anymore. Like that was back in 1999, I guess. People were talking like that. But I don't know. I mean, like you guys were saying, like with Twitches and stuff, a lot of the effects don't really, even with Smart House, like don't super hold up. But I mean, it's the 90s. If that bothered me, Buffy the Vampire Slayer wouldn't be my favorite show of all time. So it is what it is. But yeah, I think this one is a great adventure film. Great star. Great song with Zoom, Zoom, Zoom. Protozoa. Microbe. Love it.
Cool. Yeah, I haven't seen this one either. I think every time I tried to watch it as a kid, it just didn't like. I was never a big sci-fi kid until I got a little older. Even Star Wars didn't really feel like it's not sci-fi. It's more space fantasy. So I need to check this one out as well because I know this one's very well revered. Austin, have you seen this one?
I've not. It's funny because that and Smart House are both 1999, but I guess like when I was a kid, it was I'm similar to you. I wasn't really like a sci-fi kid. Like I didn't really and you were saying Star Wars early in sci-fi, but I didn't really have like my Star Wars era until I was like in college. Like I never really got into it until much later. And so it was never something that when it was on, I was like trying to watch or anything like that. So I know it's highly regarded. It's one of those that when people talk about DCOMs, especially like people who grew up on like the older school ones, like it's definitely one that those people always will say, oh, Xenon, like you hear it a lot, I think. So I'm not surprised for it to get drafted in this.
Cool. Ingrid, have you seen this one?
I have not. This, I mean, similarly to Austin in the sense of like, I've heard wonderful things about it. The most I've seen is like one time my mom and I were like browsing Disney Plus and she showed like most Disney Plus films have like in the extra section, they have like a clip that is from the movie, just like a scene. And I don't even really remember that much about it, but Raven Simone was in that clip. So like, great. But like this one, I think just like missed me somehow because obviously like I was watching Disney Channel. I mean, I was not alive, but like I was watching Disney Channel and I'm sure it got replayed like many times.
Yeah, it was definitely
like,
replayed a lot. Yeah.
In like differently from like Austin, I don't think that I like avoided it. I think it just wasn't on when I was watching.
Yeah, gotcha.
So it's one that I would like to see at some point. I just haven't done it.
Carly, have you seen Xenon?
No, Chad.
Clean sweep.
Yeah, it was playing on TV. I vaguely remember watching parts of it and being kind of interested, but I never like actively sought out watching it all. But yeah, it's definitely one I do want to see. But yeah, so adding 2 DCOMs to my watch list now.
I think there's going to be a lot of that in this episode of like just if you saw it when it came out there's a good chance other people who weren't either alive or were a little older didn't see it. It just depends on generation. I think for a lot of these, until I snag a 1999 film with my next pick. Ha ha ha! Just kidding. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. Chad, you do get back-to-back picks though, so you will get to champion another film that hopefully a few more panelists have seen. But I do know it's a popular one out there, so do not feel like you made a mistake drafting it with your first pick.
No, not at all.
No, I mean I don't think that at all. But like, when you're talking about like more obscure, I wouldn't even say it's obscure, but like obscure to the panel, like that they haven't.
Did I say
seen.
obscure? I didn't mean to say obscure.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think you said that, but I think like what you're kind of saying like is like things that like are more not as well known to the panel. It's because of my age and when I started watching and stuff. So
Yeah.
I feel like my entire like thing is probably going to be something like that, like this, and then blank faces all around.
I will tell you, I have several 90s movies on my list, so don't get too
Okay.
comfortable.
Oh,
That's a threat. No, I'm kidding.
all right. Well,
Was a
I
threat.
am gonna go with another. Well, I'll say Xenon did also get 2 sequels, so
Yeah, that's how you know.
Yes,
It was,
it
it was
is.
a big deal. Yeah.
pretty big deal. And I don't think anyone's gonna draft those now, but I'm gonna go with another one that made me cry. Xenon wasn't one that made me cry. It's just awesome. But I'm gonna go with another one that's awesome and also made me cry. Johnny Tsunami. Go big or go home. So a lot of other blank faces. Hey, there's a lot of young people in here. That's fine. Hopefully I'm pretty safe for like a lot of the things that I love here. But yeah, so Johnny Tsunami is one that I would highly recommend to everyone. I think this is one that totally holds up. I think Dylan had like a great point when he was talking about like things that aren't in space, and because like High School Musical too, like things that aren't in space and don't have to really like CGI it up with the environments and things like that can really like pass and like kind of gain more of a stand the test of time kind of thing. I think Johnny Tsunami, like it's maybe not the most unique stories of all time, but I mean I feel like it's one that really does what it sets out to do like perfectly, and it's one that like really got to me. And it's just because it's about like generations and about like loves of a parent don't necessarily transfer to loves of the children. And as a father, as a son, I kind of like get that. I haven't been a grandpa yet. One day I'll reach the next level of Johnny Tsunami. I'll watch it when I'm like 80 and then be like oh my god, I get the grandpa now. But now I just get kind of understand the dad a little bit, although I don't think I'd ever be like him. Although I love to see like the growth in the film. And yeah, basically it's a surfer kid from Hawaii. His dad gets a job in not Alaska. I thought it was Alaska, but it's actually in New England. I can't remember. I think it's like Connecticut or something like that, but it's like somewhere really cold. And they he has to go to the stuffy private school that he doesn't like. He has to wear uniform. It's just nothing's like him. It's just all different. He hates it. He thinks it's the worst thing in the world. And then he kind of like learns to accept it a little bit more, but like put his own touches to it. Like he learns to surfboard instead of ski because of course you got a board. And I just love how he ends up being really accepting to a place that he thought was like the complete opposite, and he learns to kind of love that in the same way that he loved surfing the waves back in Hawaii. And just to see how they bring in a lot of like Hawaiian culture and sayings and philosophies and stuff like that, I think just like really rules. And I just think the juxtaposition of that kind of chill like Mahalo kind of culture versus like the very cold like rigid culture, and how you can kind of bring that chill mentality to such a cold like landscape and stuff. I just think Johnny Tsunami is brilliant. There's a couple like moments between people that really got to me, and I just think it's, of all the DCOMs, this is just one that is fun, awesome, but also can really tug at your heartstrings if you let it. So
Cool. You said a lot of blank faces. I haven't seen this one, but I've seen its sequel, and I think the reason I never watched
Capahala
this one,
back on
Johnny
board.
Capahala back on board, and I was so confused because I'm like, wait, is this connected? And then I just look now; it is the same actor because I saw that one and I remember really not liking it, so then I never even bothered
The
watching the
sequel.
first
Yeah, I
one.
haven't
So
seen
I
it.
should have done it the other way around. But that sequel came out when I was like 9 years old,
Yeah.
so like that was a big premiere. They're like, oh, Johnny Capahala back on board. I was like, all right, let me check this one out, and if I like it, I'll watch the first one. But strangely, I guess they didn't play the first one a lot with the sequel. Maybe I don't know. I don't know how I missed it. But I've heard good things, and I think obviously the sequel wasn't great, but I assume that's because the first one was much better. Usually the sequels aren't better unless it's High School Musical. So yeah, I don't know. I want to check this one out, but another one I have not seen, unfortunately. Anyone have seen this one? No. Oh,
I've heard of
No.
it. Like I've heard
but
of it and I knew
after,
got back on board.
after how passionate Chad was talking about it,
I wanna
definitely
watch it.
want to watch it.
yeah.
I really want to watch it. I,
still,
have no idea that
still
That
don't
makes me
know that I
happy.
want to. I still don't know that I want to watch Xenon, but I do want to watch Johnny Tsunami now.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. That's what's great about this draft too is your inspiring greatness, Chad. Because I'll tell you right now, these are not obscure picks at all. Like this is
No,
just
they're
like
not.
if we were to have everyone who was born the same year as you, Chad, you would be fighting it out for these picks. But as I said, I have a 99 one ready to snipe. So we'll see if I pick it next. I will not be picking it next because I owe it to myself in a DCOM draft. I can't just leave High School Musical on the board. I'm gonna pick it just because of a posterity. Obviously, I wanted the second one, but like the first one still means a lot to me. We've talked about both of them, kind of collectively, so I'm not gonna go too deep in it. But it is the one that started it all, and I think if that one wasn't such a hit, we wouldn't have gotten the second one. And as someone whose childhood crush for like 13 years of his life was Ashley Tisdale, like this was my favorite movie until the second one came out, and then that was my favorite movie. So these movies mean a lot to me, and I figured, you know what, very happy, Carly, you got the second one. But I was like, you know what? I can't let you get both. And I figured there might be a world where you do, or at least Ingrid or Austin maybe snipes the first one from me. So I know Austin said like they're all kind of equal in a way, just or not equal, but like they're all the best for different reasons.
they have their own thing.
Yeah, and I think this one has just the most like kind of. I don't know what it is. The spark. The spark is here for this one. It's the start of something new. It is, and it's not just a spark for this type of movie, but just for DCOMs in general. Like I feel like this was like the next huge sensation. And I don't remember what the last one before this would have been. Like I think it had been a few years before we had like a huge smash success like this. Even some other ones that came out right before it, I feel like didn't have quite the cultural impact this did. And I still think it's unmatched. I don't think there are other movies since, maybe one franchise in particular that has out kind of done High School Musical at this point. So Chad's making more faces. So I want to know what his thoughts are on High School Musical. No? Oh. Okay. You've been chewing, maybe? Sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
Every time I
I'm
talk.
sorry. I was talking to Carrie.
Okay.
And the cat's
Hi,
the cat's
Cat.
here too.
Does the cat like to pick?
Thackeray Binks is actually up to draft next.
Zachary
He's
Binks.
what are you gonna
Love
pick,
that.
dude? A cat movie? There's actually one with a cat in the title.
Is there? I was
but-
gonna say there's more dog movies than there are cat movies, at least cat-focused movies. So
Yeah, true.
yeah, but
High School Musical, like kind of the same as High School Musical 2. I don't know, maybe not as good. I do agree that I think each film there's another cat.
Carly
Each
literally
film-
just handed a cat.
My brother was listening, so he was like,
Okay,
"Here's
okay.
the
I was gonna say what
There's two in here,
amazing
right?
timing.
They're
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Minding their
Plan.
There
business.
you go.
I was gonna say if that was
Um,
random, I would have shit myself. That would have been
Each film in succession like just gets like better as far as like especially as far as like how it was shot and stuff. Like I mean, I guess bigger budgets and whatnot, but I think like all three just have like something to say, something to style, like different some sort of style to it, and different songs that are pretty great. I love the Soarin' and Flying song. I don't know what it's called, but sure, that one I think is pretty great. I even like the Get Your Head in the Game stuff now. So I took a turn. I took a turn on a lot of things. I like
Yeah.
Twilight now. So there you go.
Oh,
Speaking
I'm
of
not with you
Carly,
on that.
I know you love Twilight. What do you think of taking the first High School Musical here in round 2?
Yeah,
It's not a round-winner, but
I'm not greedy. I would not have taken both High School Musicals as much as that. I would have just destroyed the poll if I had. But yeah, no,
Very
it's
good one.
the original one. It's like the start of everything. Like I love the introduction with them on New Year's,
Meet Cute is so good.
Eve. It's
Oh.
just it's so good, and like the way they're singing and they're so shy. It's just and like all the characters are just so good. Like I love I mean I love Sharpay across the whole series, but like in the first one, she's so good. She's so funny, just sabotaging everyone. I also had a giant crush on Ashley Tisdale, although I didn't recognize it at that point. But
Valid.
I was like, oh yeah, I'm totally into Zac Efron, even though I had no interest in him at all. But yes, that's being queer. So
Good. Ingrid, any thoughts on the first High School Musical?
Absolutely. Like I said, High School Musical is the first DCOM I remember watching on television, like airing on TV, like with the commercials and all that. Obviously, like I loved High School Musical. I had my 8th birthday party was High School Musical themed. My dad like cut out pictures of all the cast members and hid them throughout the park, and we had to go find them, like the whole 9 yards. Absolutely love it. Fast forward to like as an adult, I don't remember what org it was for, but Austin had to film like a movie scene for a challenge in an org, and the scene that he filmed that I was then involved in was the karaoke scene from the beginning of
that's awesome. So to reenact it and everything.
High School Musical, yeah, we reenacted it and everything. We like put on similar outfits. Like it was so fun. It was such a blast. And then even like one of my favorite television shows is High School Musical, the musical series. So like to think about like the start of everything, like that series is so impactful that like they created a meta series about it, and it's actually very good. Like when it first came out, I was like, what are they doing? But it's not at all what people thought it was going to be. And I really enjoy it, but that's neither here nor there. Fantastic movie, holds up beautifully. Obviously it's like, I like to joke that it's a period piece. Because it's just such a product of its time.
Yeah,
but
very much.
That's
the
like
little cell phones with the
fun
little
part of
antennas.
it watching as an adult. So
yeah, absolutely.
And didn't the series confirm that Ryan is gay?
Yes.
Yes, it did.
Yes,
Beautiful.
as if we needed to
very
know.
much.
Yeah, it's good to acknowledge it at least and to say it for those who are living under a rock and couldn't take the hints. Austin, any thoughts on High School Musical? I know the second one was a pick.
Yeah. So High School Musical, the first one was number 8. It was right outside of that. It was right outside of that 7 that I was really like dedicated to getting. But once High School Musical 2 is taken, Twitches is taken. It's now in that like, if I don't get 3, 4, 5, and 6 on my list, like High School Musical is next up. But yeah, I mean, it started everything. Like it started that whole like progress of where everything goes, and now you have these people that were in that are now these big time like Zac Efron's and everything now.
Yeah, Zac Efron, Vanessa Hudgens.
Yeah.
I mean, Ashley Tisdale has like a family now, but
she produces
stuff.
so many things.
Yeah,
now.
she produces
That's like what she does. Like
Corbin
Blue.
She could do whatever she wanted if she wanted to. She is actively choosing not to, and that's diva behavior.
People.
Yes. Yeah. So many great things coming from that cast. Even the dad is trying to get on Dance with the Stars. He's like a TikTok.
I love him.
I love it. Yeah.
I love him. Yeah. Well, and I also remember the high school I work at in 2018, they did the High School Musical on stage. And that was like my first full year substituting there. But like it's the high school I went to, so the theater teachers were the same as like when I was there, and they like pulled me into like the production team on it because they're like they wanted to do it because money. They wanted to make money, and they were like, we need this big name show that people are going to want to come see. But we hate High School Musical because they're like older. They're like, we cannot stand this show. And you obviously grew up on it, love it. You know everything there is to know. So please help us. And I said, yes, absolutely. So like, yeah, I mean, it's a great pick. Cool. I'm glad it got picked, even if I wasn't going to. It's definitely, it deserves to have been picked by now.
It's at the point now too, where I'm like looking at the other ones I could pick. And the only one I'm worried is going to get snagged would be snagged by Chad, and I'm going to get another pick for him. So I think I'm good because it's.
I have a really good guess of what it is, but I don't have the love for it
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
So-
I'm a little worried it's not what everyone's thinking, but we'll see. Austin, what is your next pick going to be?
Okay. I did this again where I was looking at my list and I was looking at who's coming up. And now I'm looking at Carly and Ingrid and what might they pick. And I did get a little teeny glance at Ingrid's list before she went away, and I
We're gonna
did
fight,
see
aren't we?
one of these on here, but it wasn't in her tier 1. I don't
Okay.
think any of the rest of mine in my top 7 were in Ingrid's tier 1. So as long as she still has
Age
some
difference.
movies,
Age
as long as she still has movies in her tier 1 to pick, I'm not worried about Ingrid. I'm not. I think I'm still just gonna stick to the order.
I think you
have
need
them
to just
written.
pick it, Austin. I know what it is, and I think you just need to pick it.
I don't think you do. But this is another one that whenever it was on the TV guide, I was like, yep, that's gonna be my night. I think I actually remember when this came out. And I was just such a huge fan of like the lead actress in it that when it was coming out, I was like, oh, that looks so cool. I gotta watch that. And then I loved it. And anytime it would come on, I would want to watch it. And regardless of whether this was going to be on anyone's draft, I'm taking it here. Give me Wendy Wu, Homecoming Warrior.
Yeah.
Yo! All right.
Oh my
All right.
god.
I love Wendy Wu, Homecoming Warrior. Everything about it. I love Brenda Song. Ever since Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. So like, and for her to play like such this opposite character to London Tipton, and just deliver and be such a badass. I love the main guy in it, like the monk who comes to like the young monk who comes to help her, and then she like transforms him into this like hot guy. And he's
all
just
that.
so
Yeah.
awkward, and I love everything about him because like you look at him and you're like, this guy has no reason to be awkward, but he's just this like awkward hunk of a man. It's so cool, and I love the whole like training montage where they use the little talismans to turn her teachers into these like gurus to train her in martial arts. Yeah, I have so much love for this movie that I was like, and I also thought like, and it got a reaction when I said it. Like people were like, "Whoa!" Like that's what I'm hoping when people see my list. They're like just hit with these like, "Oh my god, that movie," and they vote for it.
Yeah, because it kind of came out in that wave with like High School Musical, so I feel like it wasn't one that was like franchised or anything, so it wasn't like, you know, one of the big cultural phenomenons.
It's
But
in
yeah, like
2006. It's with High School Musical.
Right.
It's with
Yeah.
Read It and a Weep. It's with Cowbells. It's with Twitch. It's
Well,
or right after
different
Twitch.
no,
Stop saying movies.
So many 2006 great films.
no, but yeah, no, it's a great pick. Like Brenda Song, so talented, and I think people just thought she was one thing because of London Tipton, and
Yeah.
she's so much more. I mean, she's in The Social Network too. She's great in that. So
Mhm.
yeah, Brenda Song, married to Macaulay Culkin now, and then they have a great family. So,
Crazy.
love her, love that movie. Glad you picked it. Not one I rewatched a lot, but when I did watch it, I remember really liking it. So, Ingrid, you had a reaction. What do you think of Wendy Wu?
So it's not the one that I thought he was going to pick, but I'm not surprised that he picked it either. I honestly, like he said, I have it in my tier 2. It should probably be in like 3 or 4 because I know it, but not well. I love, I also love Brenda Song, an icon, a queen, amazing. There are like specific scenes I can imagine in my mind, but I can't really like string together a narrative, if that makes sense. Like I've probably seen it a couple times, on Disney Channel, like here and there. But it's definitely one that I have not revisited as much as other movies that are in that same tier or even below it. So like I probably should have put it lower, but I'm not surprised that he chose it. I do know that he loves this movie. And it is a great movie. It's Brenda Song is fantastic and everything she does. So I'm glad it's been picked because it does have that kind of like, oh yeah, Wendy Wu.
It's a sneaky one. It's stealthy. Yeah,
it's definitely a sleeper pick.
Yeah,
in a good way.
Yeah, Carly, thoughts on Wendy Wu?
Yeah, I didn't even think of this one for some reason. I must have missed it when I was looking at the list. But Yeah, Brand the song's amazing. Like I think I definitely need to rewatch this one because I vaguely remember bits and pieces of it. I remember loving it, but I don't remember like what the whole plot was. And I just love that her character, like, she wants to go to homecoming, but she's also a badass. Like, I just love whenever female characters get both. Like, that's just
it's
so
very
awesome.
Buffy-esque in that sense, you know.
Yeah.
Like I have to fight these bad guys, but I also want to be a kid and a teenager. Yeah.
So great pick, great.
Yeah, Chad, as a Buffy fan, are you a fan of Wendy Wu, Homecoming Warrior?
I mean, you definitely, caught my attention when you said Buffy, but this is actually one that have never heard of before.
Oh,
so
okay, cool.
it's on the reverse now where I'm
Right.
blank faced, like, what?
Watch it.
Wendy Wu.
Watch it, Chad.
Like I said, I'm probably
Wendy
gonna go through
Wu
all
for
of
Johnny
them.
Tsunami. Let's go.
Yeah,
There
who
you
would win in
go.
a fight,
All
right?
right.
Yeah.
Like they watch Johnny Tsunami and I watch Wendy Wu. I think that's what she was getting at.
Yes, that's what I was saying.
Maybe
Oh.
if they tried to fight, Wendy Wu would try to fight him, and Johnny Tsunami would just be like, "Bruh."
Because they're both about
so I
like
just
like
don't think they
niche
would actually
athletics, surfing and kung fu. It's like the more niche athletics, I guess. Is it karate, kung fu? I don't remember. But yeah, cool. So Chad will have to check that one out.
Yeah.
We piqued your interest there. Are you a fan of Brenda's song, Chad? Are you a fan of her?
Yeah, mildly. I don't remember her that. I mean, I remember watching her like Sweet Life and stuff, but.
There you go. I only asked you because I know you're a big Social Network fan. So, all right, Ingrid, you are up. What are you gonna pick next? Was this the one that you were worried Austin was gonna pick?
No.
She's like, I'm going my own way.
I'm gonna go my own way.
Thank you.
But this is one that, like, I feel like is kind of a bigger one that hasn't been picked yet. Specifically from like my childhood. I was telling Austin before the draft, because I didn't think he was going to pick this one anyway. Like, it's one that I always remember that I loved growing up. I don't revisit it a lot as an adult, the way that I do with like Lemonade Mouth, or even like High School Musical. But we were, reviewing music and stuff, getting ready for the draft. And I'm like, every time a song from this movie was on, I was like jamming out. And I was like, wait, this still holds up like really well. And the movie I'm talking about is Camp Rock.
Nice.
So I feel like I'm very happy to be getting Camp Rock. I feel like it was one of the bigger names that was still left on the board from that time period. Another one that I was a huge fan of as a kid, probably even more so than High School Musical. I think that was like I was like really the target age group for that movie.
Right.
I, would sing in the shower and would like turn away from my perceived audience and sing "Always Been the Kind of Girl" and do like the big turnaround. Like I did the whole thing, the whole 9 yards. I remember my dad got a haircut at like a Great Clips or something and came home with a poster from the movie that like had like photocopied signatures from the actors on it, like icon. It still hangs up in my like parents' house. And like it really started my love of Demi Lovato and the Jonas Brothers and all of that. And the songs are so good. Like I remember loving the songs. I remember this being a huge part of my childhood, but I don't really think about it a lot as an adult. And like revisiting it, I was like, this slaps so hard. And like the TikToks that people make about like the ridiculous things that they do in there and then they like reenact them is like so funny to me, where they're like, it'll be like, bah, 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 hit it, like the one lady does, and like the person repeats it. I think it's so funny. It just like adds to that like DCOM cringe. But I love Camp Rock.
I don't want to tip picks. Is this the one where they do the entry chant?
Yes.
This is the one. Okay, because I wasn't sure if
I think it's the first one that they do that.
Is
Did
it
they do the second one?
Oh, because I was watching the Vikings game yesterday and they did that in the end zone after they scored a touchdown. They did that, and I thought that was so good. That was so good because it's such a cultural. A lot of these movies are such cultural moments of the time they were made, and that's another one.
No, that is the one iconic moment in Camp Rock 2. Sorry for any Camp Rock 2 lovers out there.
Listen, The reason I didn't pick Camp Rock 1 is because the other one's out there, and I go back and forth.
The other one is not that good. The songs are fantastic. That's the only thing about it.
I think that's what it is. I think it's the music, and I think I like the music more in this. I mean, it's not tipping picks because we're talking about Camp Rock, so obviously the sequel's gonna come up. But I do think the sequel has better songs. But I do agree, like the first one's just better story, great characters. Jonas Brothers, obviously a phenomenon. They were trying to capitalize on that. It's one of the rare times where I feel like this movie didn't make them the stars. They were the stars, and the movie was made around them. But also Demi Lovato was that person who became a star from it. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds in that sense. So not to quote song. Yeah, there you go. Carly, you had a big reaction to this one. Was this one that was on your list?
This was in my top 5 for sure. I was pretty sure. I mean, I got High School Musical too. I can't complain.
She's like, I could just end it there.
You got your musical.
But yeah, I do. I really like Camp Rock. Like this. I think what This Is Me is the song she sings at the end, and I love how it starts as a solo and like turns into a duet. Like every single time that gets to me, I love it so much. Like all the songs are just fantastic. Demi's fantastic. They were always one of my favorite actresses as a kid, so I just and I love the whole
Stoner.
I love the whole
She's
pretending to be someone else, and then like there's the big reveal and it's dramatic and like so Disney Channel. I just love it. And just the idea of a singing and dancing camp is just
I wanted to go there.
Yes. It just great sense of atmosphere too. Yeah, like you wanted to go. Like High School Musical, you wanted to go to that school. Like this, you wanted to go to that camp. Like I think that is a big selling point. Chad, I know you watched this for the first time recently for this, right? What do you think?
Yeah. This is another one that you suggested, and I remember like back when I was watching Disney Channel and stuff. Like a little bit late in the game, too late for me. This started to get advertised, and I just was like, nah, I'm not gonna watch that. It was kind of the same kind of vein where I was like, the Jonas Brothers are lame. I'm not gonna watch this. This is dumb. But like I said, there's just a young older high school kid being like, this is dumb, and then turns out I was dumb. I did like this. Watching it, I think it kind of recycles some beats that I've seen in like so many other films, but I think it's just really cute in a lot of ways. I like Demi Lovato's story in it. I think she's a great like lead. Really like sweet character. And it's cool to see like her origin because she got pretty big after this. To see the different Jonas Brothers act in this as well. Because I know like one of them, Joe, just had like the really big part in it, but like the other two were just kind of there for like funny and stuff. And I was talking to Dylan, and I was like, I think Kevin might be the worst actor of the three. And he was like, bro, don't even. Kevin's hilarious.
Kevin's my favorite. I like Kevin. He's a funny one. That's why.
And then as I was watching, I was like, all right, Kevin is pretty funny.
Kevin's got to be someone's favorite.
Right?
Oh, hey. I feel like that was like a backhanded compliment.
It was.
Listen, but, my sister's met Kevin. So
it was mostly backhanded to Kevin, not you, Dylan.
Yeah, it was more a dig at Kevin than.
Listen, he hangs out in the Jersey Shore, so I want to be nice to Kevin in case I run it.
Hey, be nice to the host of Claim to Fame.
Period.
The other thing about it though was that it was kind of a little weird at times when it was like Joe Jonas singing to Demi Lovato, and it's kind of like a sweet little moment where he's serenading her, but you hear backup vocals and drums, and I'm like, it's just a dude on a guitar. Like, what's going on right now? And so I couldn't get away from that a little bit. Like the just overproduction of it. But other than that, I was just like, a lot of these are kind of overproduced. That's just kind of the style the movie's going with. So I jumped on board pretty quickly of it. And I did think the songs were really great. Maybe not as great as like the Lemonade Mouth songs, but those are just like next freaking level. So the ones that I probably would actually listen to in my car and stuff like that. And the Camp Rock songs, I'm not sure so much. But yeah, I do want to watch the sequel.
I will say
soon.
the sequel, I like the songs better, and I think Nick especially gets a bigger part in the second one.
does.
Because
Oh,
I think
Yes,
also
I love
they
his song
realized,
in the second one.
yeah, they realized they were like, oh wait, Nick's the most popular one. So like
Yeah.
in terms
He's-
of like the cultural popular, so
He-
he ended up being the most popular. So they made him a bigger role in the second one.
I think he's the best actor of the three. I
Yeah.
think
He's done
I mean,
things outside of Camp
Yeah,
Rock. as
Jumanji
well.
was
Yeah.
his big thing too. Yeah.
and I think he's just kind of like maybe the most talented of the three too, just like with
Hmm.
singing and guitar and stuff. So he's my favorite of the three.
He's my favorite too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm a Kevin stan. I don't know. Austin, any other thoughts on Camp Rock?
No, I love Camp Rock. I get what you're saying a little bit about the music of 2, but I'm sitting here trying to think of the music in 2, and there's only really 2 songs that are standing out to me. Whereas like I think there's only one song maybe in Camp Rock 1 that I'm not a big fan of. But I could just also not be able to remember Camp Rock 2 songs, and if I looked at a whole list, I'd be like, "Oh, Dylan's totally right."
It's the Fire and Rain. Drive me
That's
insane.
one of the ones that I thought of. Yeah.
Wouldn't change a thing.
That one
Luscious.
and the Nick Jonas song are like the 2 that I'm
Yeah.
thinking of that I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah,
That's fair.
Camp Rock 2 has 2 baller songs.
Carrie,
I really like
yeah.
which one is
But no, I
Tessa's
agree with
Too
Ingrid.
Cool
We were
song? I love that
watching. We started watching like it was like a ranking of Disney Channel original movie songs, and every time like a Camp Rock song came on, like I just found myself starting to like mouth the words with it, which wasn't necessarily the case with every song.
Right.
So I think it's a solid pick. It was number 8 on my list, so it's right outside of that top 7 that I
Nice.
am passionate about. But
So both of your number 8s back to back are getting.
yeah, you guys are
updated.
just picking the one right below my top 7, which
That's good though.
keep it up. Love that.
Yeah, good.
Love
Yeah,
the-
you're like, don't go any
Right.
higher. Yeah. Carly, what was the one you mentioned just now? Tess.
Tessa's song "Too Cool." I love that when I was a
Yeah.
kid. I love
Is that
it.
a?
I'm a
first
2
one or second?
stars fan when it comes to Tess.
See, I don't
Mm.
like 2 stars. That's the one that I'm like, get rid of it.
Mm.
I like to. I just think the message is important. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
It's
her
a
mom
very
is a
powerful
big famous
moment
person,
in
doesn't
the
have time for
movie.
her.
for sure.
Cool. All right. Well, there you go. Camp Rock off the board in the second round. We're hitting a lot of the big cultural ones here. A lot of these films, Xenon, Johnny Tsunami, Twitches, High School Musical, Camp Rock, they've all gotten sequels. So let's see if we're going to keep it up or if we're going to go a little more niche now as we head into the third round. But to end the second round, Carly, you have to make a pick. What are you going to pick here?
I'm going to pick what I consider to be the gayest DCOM.
Okay.
Also, the DCOM with the most military propaganda, which is Cadet Kelly.
Okay.
I love. Oh, I literally. So I forgot the draft was today till last night when I messaged Jill. I was like, "Is that tomorrow?"
Because
He
I
was like-
added the wrong Carly Perkins on Facebook to the chat.
So I was like, okay, I can only watch like 1 or 2. This was one of the ones I rewatched last night, and I just loved every minute of it. It's so good. It's so incredibly gay. Like just her and I can't remember what her
Christy Carlson Romano.
Christy Carlson Romano.
Christy Carlson Romano. Just their little banter. She literally has a rainbow blanket that the other girl tears up. And like they're just consistently flirting, like in a enemies to lovers way. And like the only reason that Hilary Duff is into the guy is because she's trying to like get Christy Carlson Romano's like attention. And it's so sapphic. It's so great. Like while watching it, I was like looking up fan fiction about it so I could know when I was finished. It's very silly. I love the drill team stuff because it's so funny to me how they're like competing with gun twirling, and I'm sure that is probably a real thing. But just watching it, I was just cracking up, being like, how do you compare their gun twirling to our gun twirling? Like, how do you compare that? It's very funny to me. And just like their gay interpretive dance is what gets them second place in the drill competition, which is amazing. And there's this one line from it that just had me dying, where she says to her stepdad, "Babies can't salute; they're little." And I was just dying at that line. It's just beautiful.
Nice.
And I also love the healthy blended family thing they have, where her dad's like still in her life, but her mom like has remarried. So I thought that was really cool. And yeah, I just love this one. It was delightful, and yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, the first Lizzie McGuire, oh my gosh, Hilary Duff film off the board. Yeah, it was very interesting. This is one that I feel like kind of what Ingrid was saying between mine and hers, like a year or two separates it. This was like just before I started getting into DCOM, so I don't think I've seen this in its entirety, but every time it was on, I'd put it on. I'd like it for what I was watching. So I think it's a worthy pick, especially having all those queer undertones, as you mentioned. I think it's important to be represented here by you, especially Carly, because you are always the one to rep those queer films for us. So yeah, a big Christy Carlson Romano fan as well. She voices another character that is very prominent in my love for Disney Channel. So and I know she's also on Even Stevens, even though that was a little bit before my time as well. But anyone else? Austin, have you seen Cadet Kelly?
Yeah, I've seen Cadet Kelly. It wasn't one. It's on my list of like, it was in my tier if like if everyone was really competing for the same stuff and I wasn't gonna get stuff. Cadet Kelly was gonna be an eventual pick of mine. Not necessarily for my own personal like love and nostalgia for it, but just knowing it's a solid movie.
Mhm.
Like I
Cool.
I don't remember a ton of things about it, and it was one of those that it wasn't like a Wendy Wu where when I saw it coming on, I was like, I have to sit and watch this. It was one of those that was like, if I'm not doing something, if I'm not like playing a video game or something like, and I want to watch something, I will gladly watch Cadet Kelly. But
Yeah.
it wasn't one that was like I loved, but it's a solid film, a solid choice, and I'm just hearing Carly talk about it and how like passionate she is for it. Like I'm super glad that it's on her draft.
Yeah, I love those days. I long for the days of the TV guide where you just open it up like, oh, what's playing tonight? You know, instead of streaming where it's like, oh, what's on the streaming channel? Like, let's choose our own time to start. There's something magical and nostalgic about just like seeing what's on TV that night and planning your day around whether or not you're.
It
gonna
did
watch
seem
it.
like Ingrid had a big reaction to that.
Yeah, of course. Ingrid, are you a fan of Cadet Kelly?
Not as much as my reaction would tell you. I was excited about gay and the fact that I knew what it was off the top of my head.
Good, cool.
But also like kind of like Austin. All right, you're staying here. Kind of like Austin said, like it was one of those that I had like on the back burner in case I like needed a pick that I felt like, okay, like this is popular, even if it's not something that like I'm super attached to, like people will like this, I'll be happy to have it, kind of a thing. I love Hilary Duff. I was just saying to Austin in the other room when I went in there, like, was Lizzie McGuire like the movie theatrically released?
Theatrical, yeah.
There you go. Because like you said Lizzie McGuire, and I was like, nobody's talked about that movie. Why? That's why.
Yeah. If it was eligible, it's a first rounder for sure.
Right, for sure. Yeah. But like Hilary Duff is fantastic. Like y'all were saying about Christy Carlson Romano. It's one I would definitely like to revisit. But I'm happy for Carly that she has it because she's clearly a bigger fan than I am. So I'm glad that it went to somebody who is passionate about it.
Absolutely. Chad, have you seen Cadet Kelly?
Yeah, I did. This was definitely in my my range of ones that I was paying attention to, and of course, being such a huge Even Stevens fan, I love Christy Carlson Romano. And I was also a pretty big Lizzie McGuire fan of the show. So I don't know if I saw the movie in the theater. I probably saw it like after like came to Disney, Disney Channel or something. I don't know. Maybe I did. But regardless, I was a big enough fan of Hilary Duff to check this out. And I just don't remember it all that well. Like when Carly was like talking about it, I was vaguely getting like some sort of like glimpses of stuff. Like gotcha. the rifle training and stuff like that. But it is definitely one that when I get to it in my watch, I'm going to get very excited when I finally get to it. I think this is a really good pick. And Carrie was like, cheering when Carly selected it, was really excited.
Getting Carrie brownie points there. So.
That's one that Carrie said she would have drafted if she had been on.
There you go. Let's go. A point for women in feminism and Hilary Duff fans alike. As we move on to the third round, where Carly, you're gonna get another pick. Back to back. You got HSM 2. You got Cadet Kelly. What do you want as your third here in this little trifecta?
Okay. I still have some that. Okay, I'm gonna go with the Wizards of Waverly Place movie.
Nice, our first series to movie. Nice.
Yes. So I think about this movie so much. Like it's like I feel like it's genuinely a really good movie. Like not just because DCOM good movies can be kind of different than just generally good movies. But like I remember adoring this movie after I saw it. And I think I saw it when I was slightly older. I don't remember when exactly it came out, but
2009. Yeah, so we were a little.
I was definitely older, but I love it. Like so I loved the show so much. Like it was probably the last Disney Channel show that I like truly loved with my whole heart. And I was obsessed with Alex, Selena Gomez's character. Like she was a bad girl. She was funny. She was hot. Like I just absolutely dug her whenever I watched the show. And like I feel like in the movie they really capture the characters. Like it feels very similar to the show, especially with like the characters and how they interact. And it's so good. Selena Gomez is so good, but potential future Oscar nominee Selena Gomez. She's just amazing in this. Like when she's crying at the end when Justin doesn't remember her, it like hits me so hard. It's so good.
Austin and Ingrid nodding.
And the wizard competition, like, so when they have the wizard competition on the show, I think it's a little underwhelming because the way they do it in the movie is so good that I'm just like, well, they should have just
so epic in the movie.
Yeah.
I love what they do on the show for it, but it's so epic in the movie.
Yeah, it's just amazing and just like the culmination of everything. I absolutely love this, and I'm sure part of it's because I absolutely love the show. But yeah, it's fantastic. And I initially didn't have this in my 5, but when I was thinking about it and thinking about people's picks, I was like, I need to pick this one.
Yeah, no, it's a great pick. I think it's sometimes tough when you take a series and make a movie, especially while the series is still airing. Like this isn't the end of the series. So, I think of all the series to movie jumps, there are quite a few good ones. My favorite series from Disney Channel had a terrible movie. So I'm very happy that this one had a good one. And I do think, this is a worthy pick here on our draft board. I do remember really liking how that show ended with the big like ending of Wizard of Waverly Place. So when I think back on it, like that's the epic moment I think of, to where I don't feel like I can remember the movie as well because that ending was really strong. But now that you're talking about it, like the stuff where her family starts forgetting her because I believe it's like based on the wish that she wished her parents had never met or something like that, and that like now she's a witch, it's actually going to happen, and I think that's a great inciting incident. It's very a little bit It's a Wonderful Life-esque in a way, but kind of the reverse where everyone around you kind of disappears rather than you disappearing. You're kind of canceling everything else around you out and making sure it didn't exist. But I love that idea. I think just the production value, because it is a movie, is slightly bigger than the show itself. Even though it's on a theatrical budget, it still really pulls off a lot of the spectacle really well, and it does feel like it earns a movie. By the end of it, it feels like it's earned that movie status. So very happy you picked it. And yes, Selena Gomez, potential Oscar nominee and potential best song winner this year. We'll see. I don't know if she wrote that song, but she performed one of the songs from Amelia Perez. So we'll find out if she gets an Oscar nomination in a few months. I'll start with Chad this time because I think this might be one you've seen, even though it's a little newer, or at least you've seen Wizard of Waverly Place maybe. But what do you think of the movie?
I haven't seen it. The movie.
Oh, okay.
I've seen a little bit of the show, but like you guys were describing it, and I think it sounds like there's a little bit of Back to the Future in there as well.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
the way you were describing that. The show I remember being great, but it was like one that I didn't like fully get into. Like as like a kid will fully get into something like, holy shit, this is like my thing. Wizards of Waverly Place was a cute show that I liked, and then I was like, wow, Selena Gomez is really blowing up, that's really cool. But I never like really like loved it or anything. Gotcha. But just not my time. But it's also like kind of interesting that the movie didn't actually get a theatrical thing, because it seems like it's kind of big the way you guys are talking about it. So
true. Because Hannah Montana and Lizzie McGuire both got the theatrical treatment. So yeah, but then this one and then another one didn't. But it's very interesting.
And Taylor Swift was in the Hannah Montana movie. So
was she? Yeah, that's
right. That song is so good.
Austin, you were really big head nodding there when she was talking about the wizard competition.
It was like that. Really like that is a super like emotional part of the movie that hits. It's in my list of 25. It's lower, but it's still super solid. I think it's only lower though because it has been so long since I've seen it that like I can visualize pieces but like when I was making my list, I couldn't remember really much. But when Carly was describing that moment in particular, I was like, oh my god, yeah, that yes, that is absolutely like gut wrenching. No, it's yeah, I really resonate with a lot of what Carly was saying about it, so I don't think I need to add more time onto this podcast to talk
You're good. We're making good time. Ingrid, any thoughts, remaining thoughts on Wizards of Waverly Place the movie, or the Wizards of Waverly Place? Nope, I was right.
Wizards of Waverly Place the movie. Yeah, a lot of Carly's sentiments echo mine. I was a huge Wizards fan. Alex was also my girl. Before I had ever really been exposed to Harry Potter, one of my friends is like one of my favorite fun facts about myself. One of my friends threw a magic themed birthday party. And everybody was supposed to show up as their favorite wizard. And while everybody else was in their Hogwarts cloaks, I was Alex Russo.
Nice.
So like that's my girl. And like this is probably the first pick on the draft that like is a little bit of a blow for me. Like I had High School Musical and High School Musical 2 in my top tier, but like I was like I probably won't get them because these other ones are more important to me, and like that's fine. This one's a solid blow. I love Wizards of Waverly Place. I love the movie. A lot of it was filmed in Puerto Rico, and my family's Puerto Rican, so that's like a fun history part of it for me. I think it's one of the first times that you really see like the depth that Selena Gomez has as an actress. Like obviously you see her on the show, but like the show is still a little bit gimmicky. Like she has the shtick that the character has, but like they really explore her so much more in the movie. Like she was saying about, when Justin starts to forget her and like all this stuff, like there's so many messages that are beautiful. It's such a good exploration of the dynamics of their family, of like a teenager, making a mistake that like really fucks everything up. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to say fuck on.
You're allowed to, as much as you want.
Great. I'm a teacher. I forget sometimes. But like, really fucks everything up. But like, it like, and like the consequences of that, and like that part of the story, as well as like the dynamics. It's just, I love that movie so much. And I like creating this list reminded me of how much I love that movie. So I'm really glad it's being represented, even if it's not on my team.
That's fine.
That's all right.
Well, you're
giving me goosebumps just talking about it.
It's so good.
I love that, the little Alex Russo with all the Harry Potters. I think that's such a great story and fun fact. But we are now up at your turn, Ingrid. So you will get something on your board that you like. What are you gonna put?
I was in between the Wizards movie and this movie for my next pick, so it made my decision a little bit easier. So at least there's that. This is a slightly more niche pick. Slightly more niche. Okay. It was another one of my like absolute favorites growing up. Another Selena Gomez classic, Princess Protection Program.
Nice.
I rewatched the crap out of this movie as a kid. I was like, Selena and Demi were like my idols. My like, I was obsessed with them. And like them being friends was even more obsessed with that. And like the idea of this like princess who's in danger, and there's this whole operation to save her and make her go undercover, and it's like this huge corporation that like just does this all the time. And like the fish out of water story for both. Like I like that it's a fish out of water for both of them in different ways. I wanted to be both of them at the same time. Mm-hmm. Her like walking around with books on her head is like always a visual that I have in my mind. Or like the what's it called? The frozen yogurt shop where poor Demi Lovato is like trying to get like frozen yogurt out of all the machines, and they're all overflowing, and she's like, just like peak cinema. So like I have such a love for Princess Protection Program and the songs that came out of it, and I just like, I love it.
Yeah,
even though it's not really musical, but like the songs that are from it, just like,
yeah, you got a lot of good songs wrapped on your board so far, Ingrid. Yeah, this one actually, I looked it up. Same summer as Wizards of Waverly Place the movie. So she was having Selena
Clearly,
Gomez.
I was having the time of my
Yes.
freaking life.
I mean, she was the it girl, and she's continued to. Yeah, most followed woman on Instagram.
Period.
Most loudly decibeled, ear deafening crowd chants I've ever heard when she showed up at the New York Film Festival. Like, seriously, the megastar of our generation. So I'm not gonna say more than Taylor Swift, but it's like the two of them. Like, that's like the
Yeah.
biggest, like,
And they're besties.
musician and actress. Yeah, and they're best friends. So there you go. Haven't seen this one, but I know a lot of people are fond of it. I think at this rate, I was an 11-year-old who was like, princesses. Yeah. She has another movie coming out in 2 months about wizards, so I'll watch that. But I need to go check this out because on Marvelous Movie Mondays, Kelsey had just rewatched it recently and told me I should go check it out. So I will be doing that. Carly, you seem to have good reactions to what Ingrid was saying. Have you seen this one? Do you like this one?
Yeah, I've seen this one a few times. I wanted them to kiss real bad. But yeah, it was cute. I always like when there's any kind of rivalry where they're button heads a little bit, and then they come together, and it's very sweet. And yeah, I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
Great pick.
Yeah, Austin, have you seen this one?
I have. I don't have like a lot of strong memories or strong feelings about it, but like it was in my reserve list of like this will be a crowd pleaser.
The bench warmers. Yeah. Chad, have you seen this one?
No, I hadn't heard of it. But seeing who it stars, I'm actually very excited for when I get to see it.
Yeah,
it sounds fun.
That's the thing. Like a lot of these the great films, even the under the radar ones, have a lot of big stars that either were big time stars at the time, but have become big stars since. So it's always cool to like look back at these movies and be like, oh, they're in that. It's pretty fun. Austin, what is going to be your next pick here? The center point of the draft, the focal point of the graphic. That's why I love having the 3 spot as well. Yes. You get that centermost pick. What's going to be your pick here at number 3?
Yeah,
pick 3.
So this is where I'm gonna skip my number 4 and go to my number 5 because I think there's a world it could be a Chad pick, but I'm not sure. But it's very important to me that it makes my list. And it's not a 90s. It's in the early 2000s. So the one that you're scared, the one that you really want, Dylan, is still gonna be there.
Okay.
He wants to steal it from me, so.
But I am gonna go with it's a broken record when I say this, but it really is like these top movies are the ones where I was like, when I saw that it was playing that night, either on the TV guide or in that commercial where it was like, tonight at 8:00, this is your Disney Channel movie. I had to make sure I was ready to watch it. And I will be taking Luck of the Irish with my pick here. I love that movie. Everything about it is just so fun for me. The villain is fun and corny and cheesy and hilarious to me. The concept of when his mom as like a little teeny tiny leprechaun that they have to like schlep around is hysterical to me. It's and like they do like the little like it's very in your face like to be corny jokes, but like the end of the rainbow being like I don't even remember what it is. It's like a truck or something. Like it's something so weirdly like funny and just in your face that I've always loved this movie. And like it's I remember when like I think in my most recent rewatch of it, I don't think I like cried, but I definitely got like teary-eyed or emotional when like at the end when they sing "This Land Is Your Land." Like I think that's a really sweet like sentimental like closing to the movie. Yeah, it's just again like I said in our chat earlier, I am picking the draft that's going to make me the most happy, regardless of whether I think it's going to get votes from an audience. This is one of my favorite DCOM movies, and I would have been very sad if it did not end up getting on my list, but I felt like I could wait this long to get it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, especially with the demographics of age. Like this is one I haven't seen because I just it wasn't out when I was watching Disney Channel original movies. And I'd always seen this like kind of pop up here and there, but there was another one from that era that I just stuck with me a little bit more in a similar vein. But yeah, this one it has so many fans, and it's actually the same actor as Smart House too, which is cool. You get double rep of that kid. So yeah, I think it's a fitting pick here. Chad, you've seen this one, I'm sure. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, you're talking about Ryan Merriman, also the star of what is it? Halloween H2O, 20 years later, and also Final Destination 3.
Yeah.
Period.
So he's been around to become a big horror actor
There you go.
afterwards. But yeah, very prevalent in the DCOM sphere as well. And The Luck of the Irish is one that was on like rotation. It's one I was very excited about when it premiered, saw it, loved it. It's not one that I actually got to on my rewatch. So I was getting there. I was very, very close to rewatching this one, and I don't know how highly I would have ranked it had I saw it and threw it in my overall ranking that I've constructed so far. But I do remember loving this one. This was a kind of plan B back of the list a little bit pick. Even though I do love it, it was like, if people are, surprise me and start picking a lot of the shit that I love, the Luck of the Irish is always there. But turns out it's not. So great pick.
Cool. Ingrid or Carly, have you guys seen this one? Yeah, Ingrid, what do you think of it?
Yeah, I have seen this one. For some reason, I associate this movie with like staying homesick from school. I don't know if it was just like a movie that like they played in the middle of the afternoon on weekdays or something. But like, it's also a movie that I associate with my husband in terms of like movies that I know that he likes that are DCOMs. So I knew this was coming, and that is okay with me because he definitely has more of a nostalgic value to this movie than I do. I do really like it. It's a lot of fun, has a lot of heart. It's everything you want in a Disney Channel movie without like big musical numbers. But still a fantastic movie. I'm glad it's being represented. Surprised to hear about the actor's horror icon status as a new horror watcher. That's something I'm going to be looking into.
Yeah.
So that's cool. But yeah, awesome.
Cool.
Glad it's here.
Carly, have you seen this one?
Yes, I feel similar to Ingrid that I really like it. It's a solid pick, but I don't feel like super strongly about it. Just good pick. I think she's right about it being. I remember being homesick and watching this movie. So
I'm glad we both have that experience.
Yeah. My next pick, I there's one that like is that to me like the stay home sick and watch this movie type movie, but there's also a big one out there that I'm like, I feel like I gotta take it, but I also so I'm thinking like I know one of them if I don't pick, Chad's probably gonna pick. The other one I don't know if Chad's gonna pick, but if Chad does pick it, I'm probably gonna be really upset because that's like such a sentimental, personal one. So am I gonna gamble that to take the more popular one that I like more? This is why my head is so fucked up. Okay,
Go with the one that'll make you happy, Dylan.
They'll both make me happy. That's the thing. They're both in my top 5. One, though, is much more niche. One more is more mainstream. So I'm going to go, if I'm looking at them equally, I'm going to go with the more mainstream one because I do think also it belongs in this third round. I don't know if Chad is going to pick it. He hasn't picked it yet, and I thought he would be someone who would jump for it at like number 1. So maybe he doesn't like this as much as I do. So I'm going to take Halloween Town. I feel
I'm shocked that it took this long.
Okay, so I guess that's not the one Chad was thinking of. Yeah, so this one is like for me, like Twitches is my Halloween DCOM, and I didn't want a lot of horror, a lot of spooky stuff because I also wanted everyone else to get a shot if they want their like spooky DCOM because there are quite a bunch. But like of this era, I think the reason why the Halloween DCOMs hold up so well is because they are the ones that have an excuse to get replayed. Like every Halloween, this would play. I'm not going to name all of them, but like there were a lot of this era that would play because they were spooky, because they were about vampires or other things, phantoms, if you will. But like I do think this is one where I was like, it's just the iconic one of the Halloween DCOMs. Like it has one of my favorite actresses, Debbie Reynolds, in it. That's another plus. It's also like kind of the first big hit in terms of franchising as well. Like until High School Musical, it was really just this Xenon and one other franchise that really got super franchised. Like the franchising wasn't a big thing until like High School Musical, and then everything got franchised. Camp Rock and will not name the rest, like Twitches. So I do think this one, there's a reason it held up so well, and I think it's just because it oozes atmosphere of the Halloween time, has great characters, great kind of grandma grandkids dynamic, great villains. I do like the sequel, not the third and fourth as much, but they might come up later, so I don't know. But yeah, I think it's solid. Not my favorite DCOM, but like it's in my top 5, and I figured of my top 5, this one is one that I think Chad would pick. But I'm now worried he's going to pick my personal one, and I'm regretting it. But you know what? I'm very happy to have this on my board, also because like I watch this every Halloween, so like obviously I want it on my board if it's available. So Halloween Town, there it is. Chad, you didn't seem that disappointed that I took this ahead of you. What are your thoughts on this one?
It's weird because I did have like a set like few that I really wanted, and Halloween Town is definitely on one of those plan Bs, like around like where Luck of the Irish is. And I think it's because of like the theme of it. Like I think there's another like one or two that kind of fit the theme as well that I might like a tad more as far as like spooky goes. But Halloween Town is freaking amazing. Like it is one that I am sad that's also not on my draft board, but it's definitely not, it wasn't the, one that I had like super high. It's very hard to explain how my brain works sometimes. But
it's also hard to explain it without tipping picks too, which is the hard part. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Because there's like so many that I want to fit into the 5, and Halloween Town is one of those that I was like, am I making a mistake not picking Halloween Town because it just is one of the best? Like I love that. I love the sequel, like you said, 2, and I just think like those 2 are just some of the best like kind of Halloween themed movies. I love. Did you mention Debbie Reynolds? Because it's fun to see her in it. Especially if you're a Singing in the Rain fan. And then I love all the kids. I love how they build that world. I think the villain is really scary, a Kablar or whatever, Calabar. Thank you. I really love him. It's really weird, but it's iconic. So definitely a great pick. It's one that I wish I had on my list, but I didn't get there.
Hey, you're good. Austin, you were toying around earlier about a potential spooky pick. Was this one of the ones you were thinking of?
Okay. Still not it.
Okay.
This is the new number 8. It's been a while since I've gotten to say it.
Now it's not anymore.
After High School Musical went away, and then Camp Rock became the new 8, then Halloween Town became the new 8, and someone has finally taken it. No, it's good. It's solid.
Nice. Ingrid, any thoughts?
I don't have much more to say about it right now.
Yeah. Ingrid, any thoughts?
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's another one I watched when I was a little bit older, rather than when it first came out. We've talked about Debbie Reynolds, and she's fantastic. But for me, it's Kimberly J. Brown. She's just like she's such like a sweet lead. I just gravitate towards her in these movies as Marnie. I think she's wonderful casting. Which why we do not speak of the final Halloween Town film. But
I doubt it will get drafted. If it does, we'll talk about it.
I will be very surprised.
Okay.
But I also think it's just like a masterclass in world building. Chad was kind of talking about that as well, but like it's like you're just so fully immersed in it the whole time. And I really appreciate that as well. So
nice.
Yeah.
Carly, any thoughts on
it.
Halloween?
Oh, I've never seen this one.
What?
No, I'm joking.
Oh. You're living up to your name by convincing us for a split second that you, Carly, the Disney witch, have never seen Halloween Town. That is a great moment. Clip it, people. Clip it.
No, I love this one. I love this one so much. I love her delivery of Halloween is cool. Like it just lives rent free in my head. Like, when I think of this movie, I hear that in my head. And I just love the whole town of creatures. Like all the practical effects are so great.
Yeah,
like
practical effects for sure.
It's amazing. And I like all the sequels to various amounts. Some are better than others, but it's a great beginning to the little franchise. Every time I watch, I'm so annoyed with her mom though for like potentially taking away her ability to ever be a witch. Like that's just so awful. Like whenever I watch it, I'm just like, I know you have your reasons, but you can't like undo that after her 12th birthday. That's so bad. But yeah, I absolutely love this movie. It's so great. It wasn't in my 5, but it was high up in my backups.
See, the thing is, I'm very thrilled everyone likes this one, but now I'm like, shoot, if Chad picks the one that's like near and dear to my heart in his next 2 picks, I'm gonna regret it because I feel like Chad wasn't gonna pick Halloween Town, and now I'm like, now I also I went into this
I think I know what it is. I think I know what yours is, and I think he is gonna pick it. That's
oh my gosh. Well,
I did my research, Dylan. I checked out Letterboxd. I know what you like.
Oh no, that's right. I'm public. I'm gonna mute it now. Making it private now, so Chad can't like quickly go snipe it. No, but it's funny because I came in with like, this is the 5 I want. I want this. I figured High School Musical 2 might go, but like High School Musical was that replacement. Halloween Town wasn't part of that 5 because I just assumed it'd be gone the first 2 rounds, and I knew I wanted Twitches and the other High School Musical that didn't get picked. So now I'm like, now that I got Halloween Town, now one of my other 3 has to fall. So I'm like, we'll see. But now that Austin knows my list, I'm like, ooh, now I'm scared.
That's the only one I remember.
It's okay. Chad, you are up now. Now that I've stalled a little bit for you to get back in your seat and contemplate all the movies, maybe not before 2000 that you want to pick. Maybe go a little later with these next 2 picks so I can get one I want. Not to entice you or anything.
$5 Venmo, man. It goes a long way.
It goes a long way. Chad, what would you like here with your next pick?
So I know exactly what I'm gonna pick. And like I'm looking at like my like top 8 in my list, and Dylan actually has my ranking, so he could go look if he wanted to. I sent you that video, remember? But that being said, yeah, there's like a video I sent you that had my full ranking. Yeah.
Now that I'm in it, I'm not going to be looking at my phone unless it's my list. So don't worry.
Good.
I don't.
But
so I will not, out of the kindness and goodness of my heart, go look. And they also can't look for me anyway because I put mine in private now, so we're good.
So I'm just like looking at like things that have been picked by me and Austin, so now I'm gonna go with one that like is also very, very dear. I think sometimes when I visualize my draft board, I think about like what should like the middle movie be, and I think it should just be something really freaking awesome. So I'm gonna choose Brink.
Nice.
Okay, so that wasn't what was Dylan was afraid of.
No, this was the one that earlier when I was like, I wanted to watch some for this draft, and I promised Matt Chapman I would watch Brink. And then when I was going to watch Brink, I saw so many other titles that I hadn't seen in years, and I was like, I gotta watch that first. So the only new watch I was able to do was Smart House. So I did Smart House. I'm gonna do Brink tonight after this because I did promise Matt I would watch it. So I've never seen it. But Chad, you talk about Brink.
Nice. Okay, so yeah, Brink I think is rules. I think it still holds up. It's a roller blading movie where like I don't know, it's just like one of those movies in like the 90s where it's like we're gonna skate for good, and like the other team is like the villains. They're all corporate and they get paid, and they're like we get all the cash. You know, you're just kind of like whatever. You're not good. And then we're like, yeah, but we skate for the fun of it, you know. And then like the main guy has to, you know, make money because his parents aren't doing so well and stuff like that. And so he tries to go, you know, join the other side, and it doesn't really end well from there. I don't want to spoil the whole movie, but you know, there's more to it than that. But I love how it's kind of like, you know, the messages of, you know, do it for the fun of it, for yourself, you know, don't be in it for the money, you know, don't betray your friends, you know who's actually there for you. Don't make something your whole life, or let it like consume you. Don't be afraid to like love other things, and, you know, just know that it, you know, skating is something you do. It's not who you are, kind of a deal. You know, that's actually a quote from the movie. But you know, it rules. I love all the skating sequences. I think it just shot so well. So it's just like a legitimately like really awesome like sports movie. So even someone like, you know, older than me, like Matt Chapman, loves this movie. You know, who's he was probably like, you know, I was with Camp Rock around that time,
around
but
like
he
15 or something, right?
he likes it for some reason. I was like, wow, he's like, you're still got into some DCOMs. That's really cool. That this is popular with maybe some of the older generations too. But yeah, I think Brink is just a really, really cool movie, and I really implore anyone to watch it who just like wants a really fun time. I don't think it goes as deep as something like Johnny Tsunami, but it's also like a really cool like sports movie. And I think those make some of the best DCOMs, you know. So maybe some more will come up later, but yeah, this movie rules.
Yeah, I need to go see this or watch this. I can't go anywhere to see this other than my couch. I go to the theater and see Brink. Brink, sorry, there's an exclamation point. Austin, have you seen Brink? This seems like might have been in your heyday of Disney Channel watching.
I have not seen Brink.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
Brink is one that I know nothing about outside of what Chad has said. So
Gotcha.
it's one I've heard of, not one that I know super well though.
That's fair. What about you, Ingrid? Have you seen Brink?
Nope. I feel like the title has like existed in my brain at a time, but like like it's not one of these things where like you said the title and I was like, what? Like that's a movie that exists. But I knew very little about it, and I'm not a super like sports movie girl, so I don't think even if I had heard of it more, like I don't think it's something I would have watched growing up. But just like listening to you talk about it and like listening to the themes and stuff, like it's something I would consider checking out because those are themes that are important to me. So I am interested. I'm intrigued.
Nice. Carly, have you seen Brink?
No, I haven't, but I am a sports movie girl, so I do definitely want to check it out because I love a good sports film, and yeah. So
yeah, so
it's
a very, very obscure title, Chad. No, I'm kidding. No, I know this is a very popular one as well. This is one that Matt was like, you have to watch. So I will watch it tonight, literally after this. So very looking forward.
I'm ready for the Letterboxd review.
I will. I have a few weeks to catch up on. Actually, I've been slacking because of rehearsals, but I will do that over Christmas Eve. Just chill with my Letterboxd and chill. Chad, what's gonna be your next pick? Please don't pick the one I want. Not that you know what it is. It's just I'm fine. You pick what you want. Pick what you want.
I'm looking through all the '90s movies, and I don't know what the hell you want. Like I'm trying to like figure out.
Don't try to figure it out because then you'll figure it out, and I don't want you to.
But you said the '90s.
Just put him out of his misery, Chad.
No,
pick something.
So I feel like because I do. Dylan's playing the mind games now, but yeah, because I have a '90s movie that I was thinking about picking fifth, but now I think I'm gonna pick a fourth.
I really don't want to now throw off your strategy though, Chad. So pick what you're gonna pick. It's fine.
So then I think I can easily get. It's cool because there's actually like two 2000s movies. No. God, Dylan's really messing me up here.
Don't let me sway you. Pick whatever you want to pick because I do now have like 3 movies I want to get on my list, and so you might make it easier for me if you pick one of my 3. Then I could just put my other 2 on there.
Okay.
So don't worry about hurting my feelings, but I will cry if you pick my pick. I've never done this before. Like I'm so passionate. It's okay. I'm gonna just.
I'll pick one because there's that from the '90s that I love, but it's okay if the other thing from like to the 2000s gets picked because then I have like a couple backups as well. So I'll go ahead and pick one that I adore. It's gonna be my Halloween pick. Okay, so maybe I'll pick something else now. No, but I'll go ahead and do my Halloween pick. It's fine. I'll do Under Wraps, which is
cool.
Yeah, okay. So that's why I don't think we were on the same page at all, Dylan.
I assume
I don't either.
I just have to clarify the one from
the original Under Wraps, yes.
Okay.
Which I had previously thought was the very first DCOM, but looking at Disney's website, they actually disagree. And there's a different one that is apparently the the first one, which I did watch, and I thought it was pretty bad. But this movie,
Maybe that's the one I'll pick. Okay.
maybe the second DCOM of all time is just really really sweet. I really love it. It was one of those where, excuse me, I don't know if you like put on a movie that you hadn't seen in a very long time from your childhood, but you like remember every single frame of it, and then you're just like just staring at it, just like I everything of this is just like bringing back. It's like, you know, in like Stephen King's like Dreamcatcher or like The Shining, it's like, you know, opening up a box that you closed off so long ago, and then you just suddenly see into your past so hard. And this is one of those. I think it's just a really cute, fun monster movie. Like, it's like not really scary. It's just like a fun horror movie where, you know, it is a, you know, walking, not really talking, but walking, you know, mummy that they find and they befriend. And there's a lot of like really slapstick stuff that happens with the mummy. And also the three kids are like, if there was if they were casting Harry Potter back then, and you know, She Who Must Not Be Named were casting American actors, is like, this is like a perfect like Harry, Ron, Hermione right here with these three kids. You know, and they kind of have like that dynamic too. Like the main kid is just like really outgoing, and then the Ron character's kind of like nerdy and like afraid of stuff. And he's like, let's not go in there, kind of a deal. And then you know, she's, I don't know, she's kind of tough though. She's not really like Hermione, but you know, she is the girl of the group, so I guess that's where I attach it. But anyways, enough of that. I just had those thoughts, but yeah, this one is just really really cool, really fun. A lot of really horror like stuff in it. Like they go to like a joke shop, and the kids room is like really decked out in like horror makeup, masks and stuff like that, kind of like how you have like Tommy Jarvis in like Friday the 13th, like his room is. Dylan gets it. Yeah, I don't know, this movie's just rules. So this was going to be like my big Halloween pick, which is why I kind of like put Halloween Town a little bit on the back burner. But either I think would have been like really amazing spooky picks for the list.
Yeah.
So,
and that's not even the Halloween pick I thought you were going to pick either. So like, there's just so many.
There's
That's
another
the
one that's
show.
a
There's
fantastic
another big one
from
that
the
I know
90s.
you and I have both talked about, or I thought it was the year 2000. So there might be another one.
Another one.
Even. So yeah, I just great pick. I haven't seen this one. A common trend for me. Also, it's not streaming on Disney Plus, so I know it's probably
okay. I know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah,
now, the 2004,
it's not streaming on Disney Plus though. So I went to go watch this, and then it started playing the cheesy little new one, and I'm like, what am I doing?
It's on YouTube.
Okay,
there's for now there's a stream on YouTube.
Gotcha. So I got to go check that one out too. This is going to be a big year for DCOM watching because I do want to finally get on that wave. Austin, have you seen Under Wraps?
I've never heard of Under Wraps until Chad said it.
Cool. Nice.
So I have
Check it out.
I have nothing to add.
I know they remade it recently, right? But
I never even heard of the remake.
Right.
I've never
I was gonna
heard
say
of
we're
the
not on Disney Channel at this stage, so we didn't. Didn't even know. And I guess they made a sequel to the remake already. I don't know.
They did.
Not meaning to tip picks, but if any of you pick it, I'd be shocked. Carly, is this one you knew about?
It's one I've heard about. I think I heard about it because I've heard Chad talk about it before. But but no, I have not seen it. I might put it on my Halloween list for next year just because it could be a nice, fun. I think I should check it out.
Ingrid, any thoughts on Under Wraps? Have you heard of this one?
I've heard of it. It was in a video that we watched earlier today, so I don't know what he's talking about, having not heard of it at all. I did know that it was like considered to be the first like DCOM, like that kind of stuff, but I haven't actually seen it. So it's on my list of Halloween DCOMs that came out that I never saw as a child, that I want to add to my list. So
nice.
That's all I got with that.
We'll have to marathon some Halloween movies, all of us. DCOM,
Yes.
and do a little cycle back eventually. All right. So I'm feeling good. I feel good. I'm glad I'm gonna get the one that I wanted really badly because I have a personal fondness and attachment to it. I know this is one of the most popular ones. It's on all the top 10 lists, most of them. So I'm very happy. This is one that I resonate with, like stay home from school and watch, because for some reason, despite it coming out in the late 90s, it was on a lot of repeats for like just growing up. So I always watched it when it was on. It was one that I loved, probably also because it was like a gender bent version of a very similar story you see a lot of. And that is the 13th year. I really, really love the 13th year. I think it's a great kind of analogy for puberty and growing up. But if I want to get all Carly with it, I can say it's also very queer. You know, it's all about this like kid kind of discovering this thing for himself that he didn't know he had, and kind of coming to terms with it with his parents. He's turning into a mermaid, turning into a fish, which is really well designed too. I love the scales. The makeup actually looks realistic and believable. The effects don't look shitty in this, which I thought was admirable, especially like next to like Smart House and Halloween Town. These movies that are taking big risks with their like big CGI that hasn't held up but has a nostalgia to it. Here, I actually think it's believable. Like when he has the scales, I'm like, ooh, he's scaly. Just the idea, he first kisses a girl and it's awkward, it's weird, it's uncomfortable. A very clear parallel for queerness that I don't think Disney was ready to be like, it's a gay show. Like, they're not gonna do that. They're still not gonna do that. Give us 50 more years, they're still not gonna do it, and they're gonna put a side character in their like Moana remake and say it's their first gay character. But I do think they're gonna LeFou it again. But yeah, I love this one. I think it's so charming. I watched it again today. It's still held up. It had those nostalgic moments. I think the acting's a little rough around the edges for the kids. I think that's the one kind of drawback, but it's endearing. A lot of these kid performances are not great. I don't even know the name of the kid, but the 13th year, he's 13 years old. But I love the myth and the lore and the mythology. I think that's also a theme with my list. Like Twitches has a lot of that. Halloween Town, just a lot of great lore, great sense of place, sense of fiction and fantasy. So yeah, really charming. Just a great kind of coming of age story. Also a men's coming of age story, which as a feminist, like I love that there are stories that you would normally see women go through that is gone through with a boy, a young boy, to show this insecurity, because it's always in the media that men are perfect and have no issues and have no emotions, and this movie's all about men kind of getting in touch with their emotions, that and shows that young boys can kind of have this insecurity about growing up and puberty and all that stuff that I think a lot of like women's coming of age films do really well, that like we just didn't see a lot of, at least for me growing up, for as a kid, as a little boy, kind of seeing that parallel. It's very Aquaman-esque. I love the whole like backstory flashback of like the mother mermaid dropping the baby off, and then like the kind of pleasant folk just kind of taking him in, and then when they have to eventually release him back to sea at the end, it like gets me choked up, it gets me emotional. I love stories about that, like kind of going away to college stories, except this one, it's like literally letting your boy back out to sea. It's kind of the opposite of Little Mermaid, where he's on the land and he wants to go be where the fishes are. I want to see them swimming, instead of the opposite, where it's like Little Mermaid wants to be on Earth with legs. It's kind of the opposite, but so charming, so great. This is the one of like that early wave, next to like Halloween Town, which is just so iconic and is held up, but like this is the one that's like very personal to me. I very much love this one. So I figured Chad might snipe it from me, so I'm very glad he didn't, because I know most of the people I talked to about this one are very fond of it. Awesome. Was this the one that you had seen on my list that you were worried I was gonna lose?
Yeah, I saw this on your Letterboxd, and maybe I need to rewatch it. I hated this movie as a kid.
Oh my god. Okay.
Austin!
Listen, I'll welcome other opinions.
And again, I was a child. Like the only other times I've ever had like the opportunity to watch. I mean, I know I have the opportunity to watch it now, but it's probably on Disney Plus. But like,
I watched it today on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So it's there.
So like, but it's when I was a kid, it was quite the opposite of Wendy Wu and Luck of the Irish. If I saw that it was on Disney Channel that night, or if I was watching Disney Channel and it started like, let's watch a Disney Channel, like that started playing, and then 13th year popped up, I said, all right, what's up? What else is on?
Oh, no.
I would turn off Disney Channel when 13th
This
year
is crazy. I did not know he had
but everything that you just said about it, of why you love it, I'm like, okay, that's all this makes sense. Maybe I was just like a dumb kid and wasn't appreciating it for what it was, because I didn't.
Austin doesn't want to watch mermaid movies.
Emotional or mental maturity at that time.
Listen, though, as someone who just rewatched, or I haven't rewatched, but watched Aquamarine for the first time because Kelsey was like, "It's my birthday, watch Aquamarine." I did not like that one. So I think it also is like a product of when you watched
Maybe,
it
yeah.
and what time you watched it and all that stuff. So, it's not that fact that it is a mermaid movie, even though I do love Little Mermaid, Creature of the
Yeah.
Black Lagoon, Shape of Water. So I am a fan of the subgenre. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe,
So
maybe it's
when
a
I
thing.
saw it really high on your Letterboxd earlier, I was like, really? 13th year? And every time you talk about like a 90s movie that you were like scared, like you needed to, like you were scared Chad was gonna pick, I was like, I know exactly what he's referring to because of his Letterboxd. It's not on my top, it's not on my 25.
That's fine with me because it means I didn't get it sniped.
But no, I think I get what I agree with you too, of like, well, one, you love it, which is great for you to have it. But I do think it is like a widely regarded, like higher rated movie for most people. It's just not my type of movie, not something I really liked.
Yeah, because for this, I didn't have time to watch all the movies I'd never seen, so I watched a lot of like Watch Mojos and read a lot of articles.
Yeah.
This is on every top 10 I've seen, so I was like, you know what, I'm very worried, especially with Chad being so focused on that time period. I was like, but Chad, is this one that you were considering drafting?
No. In fact, like when you, it's weird. When you sent me like I think you sent me like a ranking. And I
to show
looked
you
at
what
it.
some of like the younger kids are digging. Yeah, I was like, here's some of the more popular ones. Yeah.
And it was like a really cool list because I was like, ooh, there's some that I don't know what they are. There's some that I've heard of but haven't seen. There's some that are totally in my wheelhouse. And the 13th year like was in my wheelhouse. But after I'd seen that list, I had rewatched it. And it's like my second lowest ranked, like on my ranking. I don't think it's very good. Although, Dylan's kind of like, champion of it, like why he selected it. I can see it, because it like kind of like vibes with like a lot of other movies that you like, kind of like a coming of age, kind of thing. And you explained it very well, like why you really love it. But for me, I think it's because I have seen a lot of, I mean, I didn't really think about it as like a gender bent, like, merman kind of story. I mean, that makes sense, but I just didn't really think that was really like that special to me. I mean, I did like it as a kid, but like watching it as an adult, I was just like, I don't think there's like maybe the sidekick who's also in Little Giants, the nerdy kid, maybe. Except for him, I don't think there's like one good performance in the movie. Like
Uncle
I think
Joey.
like he's so bad in the movie. He's really good in Full House, but he's very bad. Like the parents, I was like, well, a lot of the times the adults at least ground the movie because you, like you said, sometimes the kids' performances aren't great, but there's a lot of like kid performances, I think, from DCOMs that have been like are really good. So I think that's why the 13th year for me just stood out as something that I was like, this one doesn't hold up. That's why I was really confused when you sent me like that list, and I was like, who the fuck made this list?
That's the one that you were like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that was because you said something like that. You were like, wow, a lot of surprising choices here. I was like, I thought you were talking about like maybe the High School Musical movies. I'm like, it's a little young for him, a little past his time. This was in the sweet spot of where like these are all your movies you're drafted are right around this year. So I was
I know, and that's why like because I went through, I got up to, I'm not gonna say, but I got up to like number, I don't know,
like 1999.
Number
Xenon's
16.
99, right?
I was up in the 2000s, so I passed the 13th year. There were some that I didn't rewatch until recently, like Xenon, because Carrie wanted me to wait and watch them with her. Like Halloween Town, I didn't rewatch. I don't really need to. I've seen that so many times, so I could have talked about that if needed. But yeah, I got pretty far, and I did watch the 13th year, and for some reason I was just like, ooh, some of them are rougher than I thought, but I don't know. Maybe there's another rewatch down the line.
And you know what, Chad? Just from knowing you and knowing us, like we're men who are very confident and good with our emotions, and we welcome our emotions, and we're not like insecure about them. So we don't need a movie like this to show that boys are okay to have feelings too. But it's I'm surprised. It's okay. It's good. It's all good. Ingrid, do you have thoughts on 13th year? I'm just shook. Okay. I could have said this flat.
Two haters.
I do not have negative opinions about this movie like these people do apparently. I'm not like super like positive about either. It's just like it's in that realm for me of like a Wendy Wu, like a Cadet Kelly, where it's like I've seen it, but like I don't really remember it that well. I remember the scene where he like gets in the water and sees the tail, and like I do agree with you that like the effects look really good, like they hold up, and things like that. And so like I think it's quality in that way. And I can appreciate everything that you're saying about it. I just like don't know it well enough to have like a strong opinion.
That's fair.
Either way.
Yeah, Carly, thoughts on 13th Year?
So I thought I hadn't seen this, and then I Googled it when you mentioned it, and I was like, oh, I have seen this one. I don't tell your face.
I waited for the end. I hate it.
No, from what I don't remember it that well, but from what I remember, I do like this one. Like in my mind, I mean, I never think about it, but now that I'm like remembering it in my mind, I'm like, no, I like that one. I thought that I really liked the ending, and I thought it was kind of cool with the little. I think is there some body horror in that with the scales? And
a little bit. Like I mean, it's definitely unsettling, you know, and it's
it creeps me out hard. Yeah.
But I mean that's
I'm like-
puberty in a way. You're like, oh my god, why is that hair there? You know, like oh my gosh, why are my pits smelling like that? Like I think that's just a real thing. I don't know. I think it's a really good puberty allegory that like I guess there's a lot of other movies like it, but again this was the movie for me when I was a kid that I hadn't seen like that, especially about men, you know. So I don't know, I as a young boy connected to it, but you know what, that's where we'll put it to bed for now as we move on to pick 3 here in 4th round. Austin, what are you gonna pick here that I will now get to say I hate? No, I'm kidding. No, what are you picking here in your 4th round here?
All right. Sorry, someone had sent me something that I was trying to read really quick. All right, my pick. Now it's time for my spooky pick.
Okay.
I know what it is.
You've been teasing this, so I'm curious.
So I was not disappointed when you took Halloween Town, because in my personal opinion, Halloween Town 2, Calabar's Revenge, is the superior Halloween Town movie.
Nice.
And that is what I will be drafting here.
Okay, nice. I respect that. I can't hate on your pick like you hated on mine. I respect that.
And I didn't say this earlier, I personally find Halloween Town 1 a little boring. I think when you get to Halloween Town, I think it's great. Like it's the world building's wonderful, all that. But the story itself, especially when compared to Halloween Town 2, Halloween Town 1, I think, has way more exposition than it needs. And 2, we don't need as much exposition because 1 has done that for us. And we just get into the story, and I think the stakes are so much higher. I think some of the, obviously time has gone, so, the effects are going to be better. But, I love the talking heads that they use as walkie-talkies in the second one. I think is so much fun. I like the I think the final scene where or not the final scene, but the scene towards the end where the adults are turning into their costumes is crazy and so well done. Again, like I said, the stakes are just so much higher, which I feel keeps me invested more throughout the whole thing. And yeah, it's just I have always Halloween Town 2 has always been my favorite spooky time Halloween movie when it comes to DCOMs. And yeah, so Halloween Town 2 will be my pick here. I love it so much.
Yeah. No, it's a good pick. And I'm reading back my Letterboxd review from when I rewatched it after so many years, and it is a major leap in maturity and darkness too. It just takes a darker and, like you said, a more high stakes approach. I get that 100%. I think Halloween Town for me is so much more iconic, but granted, it is very simple. It's supposed to be. That's the function of it. So no, that totally makes sense, and I don't think you're wrong for saying that this one just ups it all in stakes and story and tone and all that. Though there is something about the first one that's a little bit more warm and fuzzy.
They're all a little bit older, so they're all a little bit better actors too.
That too, yeah. So yeah, I think it's great. I think it's actually quite frightening at times too, which good, scare me. It's Halloween. So
I love the whole. I also just love how simple the whole thing is at the end of just saying one thing backwards. I love the whole Trappa apart thing of it all. And I love the other thing that I love too is the I don't remember his name. Ort, whatever. The guy who's like place is a mess, but then when
Right.
everything starts to like revert, he becomes. I find that whole scene of him and Debbie Ryan's character, just not Debbie
Debbie
Ryan.
Reynolds. Debbie Ryan.
Hello.
Debbie was in my head, and Debbie R.
I'm
was
trying to
in my
do
head.
the Debbie Ryan face. I can't do.
No, Debbie Reynolds. The whole scene of them matching socks is just, I love it so much.
Did I do it, Ingrid?
Yes,
It
this is
was
great.
good.
What?
Fantastic.
I don't even remember what movie that's from. So if it
Somebody
comes
make
up,
it the
that's fine.
thumbnail, please.
It's Radio Rebel.
Okay, if anyone drafts it, sorry we tipped it.
Sorry,
Carly,
Carly.
you haven't seen this one, right? I'm kidding. You're not gonna fool me twice. What do you think of Calabar's Revenge?
I really like it. I think it's silly that his son's just named Cal.
Yeah, that's why I was so confused about Twitches, because I'm like, I think his name's Cal. No, that's Calabar's Revenge, even though that's so weird.
And I remember that ending genuinely scared me so much as a kid because it's just frightening. It's like you're just stuck as a monster forever. And she loses in the end. If they hadn't gotten the portal open, it just would have been awful, horrible. I like how dark it's willing to go. And I agree. The sock thing, the switching the guy back between clean and dirty it's just so funny. Like that bit gets me every single time. I think I do prefer the first one because of the coziness and like the autumnal feel is better. But I feel it's hard to say which one's better. I think because
they work really well together, and the DVD they sold had them both on it, so it's like you didn't watch one without the other. So I love that. Ingrid, thoughts on Calabar's Revenge?
So I watched Calabar's Revenge for the first time as an adult because of Austin. So, this is another one that's no surprise to me that this is on his list. Literally earlier when he was like, I don't know what to pick, and I was like, just pick it. I was referring to this movie.
Gotcha.
I do really enjoy it. I think it's a lot of fun. I love that Kimberly J. Brown is married to the actor who plays Cal. I believe that's
really?
correct. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I think they got married within the last couple of years. But I love that they met doing that.
Is his name Kuntz?
Yeah. I love that they met doing that and now they're happily ever after. That's really fun. That's just a fun extra detail with that movie that I like to think about. But I agree with they're all a little bit older, which means that the movie can be more mature. They have they're better actors. Everything that everybody said, I agree with. And I do think that I am with Austin on this one being the film I'm more likely to go watch if I have to choose one. If they're which one are you gonna watch tonight? I'm probably gonna pick two. Just for entertainment value, but I also don't really have as much nostalgia with one as other people do.
Absolutely.
So
cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Chad, any thoughts on Halloween Town 2, Calabar's
Yeah.
Revenge?
I have nostalgia for both. It's one where I feel like I remember a lot more of the plot of the first one than the second one. I think I watched the first one more, but I remember really, really digging the second one. I think this is a great pick, especially if you want a really solid sequel on your board. I remember a lot of parts just kind of come out to me. This is the one I think where might be the third one that I'm thinking. I think this is the second one where something gets lost and it appears in another place.
Yeah, that's the orc guy's house.
Cool, that's right. So that's what, because I remember that character being awesome. But yeah, when you were describing people turning into their costumes or whatever, I was like, somebody's a Buffy fan, I think.
Yeah.
As far as a specific Halloween episode of Buffy called Halloween.
I was about to say I thought this was before Buffy, but it was not. It was a little bit after.
No way. Yeah.
No, 2001. Yeah. No.
But yeah. No, yeah, this definitely rules. I think what I'm gonna do when I continue my DCOM watching is that when I get to Halloween Town 2, I'll save it and then do a double feature with Carrie where we just watch watch them back to back,
Nice.
and then I'll have an opinion on which is better. So
And it'll scroll back to the draft chat.
Just
and be
don't bother
like,
with 4 and 3. Yeah, you know, I
We'll
don't
talk
know.
about
Like,
4. 4 doesn't
I'll
exist.
probably be a
actually,
completionist.
Unpopular opinion, I like 4 more than 3.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't like either, but neither of them are the pick that I'd be so egregiously pissed
Fair
off.
to not
with.
like
Literally
either.
not Marnie. It's literally not Marnie. So
Letting
what is
everyone
it?
know, before we did this, I did text the chat. I said, if someone drafts a certain film, I will end the stream. Hasn't come up yet. It is not Halloween Town 4, but that is.
I think
close.
I have a guess as to what it is, and I want to guess at the end if I'm
Okay,
right.
Yeah,
guess
you
it.
gotta let
Yeah,
us know.
I will let you
at
all
the
know.
end.
Because I might pick something similar. Ingrid, what are you picking next?
Okay. So I'm kind of in between two. I think I'm gonna pick this one because this movie that I'm picking is a franchise that has not been brought up yet.
Radio Row.
But I think it's one that's gonna resonate with a lot of people. And I watched it for the first time as an adult. And it came out, it's a little bit past my time, but my middle schoolers are obsessed with it. And that is Descendants.
Yeah.
So it's ever so slightly past my time. So I didn't really watch them when they were first coming out, although I am, Cameron Boyce lives in my heart forever. And getting to watch them as an adult felt like a really nice tribute to him for me. Because I did grow up with like Jesse and other things that he was in. But like, Descendants truly is the High School Musical of the next generation. Mm-hmm. They love Descendants. I teach middle school for the good of the podcast. I teach middle school chorus, and they are constantly, anytime that I'm like, we can put on a movie for this part of this class period. They're like, Descendants, every single time. That's all they want to watch all the time. And they know every word and they know every dance move. Like, it is their phenomenon. And getting to watch it through their eyes is really fun. And also, like, the cast is fantastic. Dove Cameron is phenomenal. When we were watching this video that had all the songs in it, and like we were talking about the Camp Rock songs, but like for me it was like I'd hear a Descendants song and I'd hear Dove Cameron and like I was reminded of how talented of a singer she is. She's fantastic. Those were a lot of the songs that I was like perking up and being like, oh, that's a good song, even if I don't remember the context in the movie. I love that it's more meta in Disney, meaning like they're using characters from the animated films and like bringing them to Disney Channel. Like, I appreciate that. I'm sure there was like a million like fanfics of Descendants before Descendants became real. Like, I can just imagine it's like a fanfic come to life. Cameron Boyce is fantastic. Boo Boo Stewart is fantastic. Sophia Carson is fantastic. Like, the whole lead cast is phenomenal. And so I definitely think it is an up and coming cultural phenomenon that like this generation is going to take with them. So I think it's good representation, and I'm happy to have it on my list. And I'm a little surprised it hasn't come up, but I'm also not, just because we are a little bit old for Descendants, I feel like, in terms of it being like a part of our cultural like upbringing.
Oh, they're still going.
He's gone.
Oh, dude.
Somebody talk.
Oh,
I can talk.
Yeah.
I absolutely love Descendants. Like, so my niece accidentally introduced me to it because I was babysitting her one time and we just kind of threw it on. And like, I was more into it than she was. Like, I was just loving it because I love like fairy tale adaptations, like retelling stories, or like that, exactly what they're doing in Descendants. And I just absolutely loved it. And then I used her as an excuse to watch the second and third one, which I don't think was as good as the first one. But I really love it. I love the music. Like, Rotten to the Core is just...
It's iconic. It's so good.
So good. Like, I just love it so much.
It's such a good tone setter.
Yeah, it's perfect. I just love these kids villains just being like, well, we're evil, and like having fun with it. It's just awesome. The song Dove Cameron has, like when she's by the like with her boyfriend, like singing, I love that song. Like, I listened to it for like repeat for a solid week. It was just so good. The sequel's not as good, but I still like the franchise. I think it's interesting, and I think it's a pretty unique idea, just having the fairy tale characters like crossover and interact, and yeah, I really liked it. So,
Have you seen this one, Chad?
I haven't. No, I mean, obviously, if it's after your guys' time, then it's
Yeah.
definitely way after mine. And it's not generally something I do go back to as DCOMs just to like watch for fun. But you know, after rewatching them all, like in this kind of for this reason, you know, I think I might some of them, but this one I am kind of interested to check out because of like what you guys have said, but like. I don't know. For me, like sometimes I feel like, you know, this is the children of characters that you really like. You know, for me, I'm like that could just kind of not be my jam. Although, you know, I also am a pretty big musical fan. So I think if the music's great, you know, there is a world where I end up watching these movies and really like them. Or not. I don't know. We'll see.
Dylan, just to catch you up, Carly and Chad have spoken so far. I have not. If you want me to go ahead and talk, I'll talk next. Or if you want to talk, you can.
He's like, let me out.
Yeah, it's still a little glitchy on my end, but I
Okay.
might need it to catch up. So, Austin, you go ahead. I don't know what's been said, so I can't wait to hear it later. But I think I'm good. Austin, you talk.
Yeah, no, I love Descendants. It's not the new number 8. It was the new number 9 after all the other new number 8s had gotten taken. It was originally at number 11 or 12 for me. But it's worked its way up. I think it's great. I agree with Ingrid that the entire cast is super stellar. I would be remiss not to mention the fact that Kristen Chenoweth is in this movie, and no one has brought her name up yet. And she's absolutely phenomenal.
So you wanna be evil?
Yeah, that's like one of my favorite songs from a DCOM is "Evil Like Me." When she just starts screaming at the end, I think it's so good. And like I'm someone who like I'm a little different than Chad. I like these like retellings or like taking these characters and putting them in a new situation. That's why I'm a huge fan of the show Once Upon a Time. Like it's very that for me in a way of take these characters and just like see a new spin on them, or like in this
You're
case,
also
I know
a big
it's
villains
children, but
guy.
it's supposed to be and I love villains in general. So and yeah, Rotten to the Core, I think it's such a great like. It's such an anomaly of a Disney Channel movie musical. Like you hear Rotten to the Core and you're like, oh, this is different. This is new.
Mhm.
They haven't done this before. It's great. It's a great pick.
Yeah. I think my internet's working, so if it cuts out again, let me know. If I get choppy, just give me a wave.
You have
or
not
comment
once
in the
gotten
private
choppy
chat.
on our end.
Yeah,
Just
we
so
haven't
you know.
noticed
Okay,
it.
because what you guys will do is you guys will all just like freeze up, and then I'll be by myself, and then I'll get the little. Anyway,
That's not happened on our end to you.
Okay. Well, anyway, and then I'll just keep talking. Descendants is great. I think this is the one where I'm shocked I like it as much as I do because it's, you know, this generation's movie. Like, it's way after our time. But yeah, because I have the nostalgia for the Disney Renaissance, and because it's not trying to be like one of those Disney remakes that's just retreading everything. It's trying to actually do something different with them. I think the way they're stylized is super cool, just the different fashions used. I heard Austin a little bit talk about Kristen Chenoweth, obviously iconic. Had Chad or Carly seen this one? I was off when you talked.
I loved it.
You had
Carly,
Chad?
yes, Chad.
No. Okay, so Chad is a big Wicked fan. I think you have to watch this for Kristen Chenoweth. I think you'd love it, and Schmigadoon. So yeah, I love it. I think it's great. I think also, I don't know if anyone said this, but I feel like it belongs on this draft, even if it's beyond our time, because it is arguably, I think even more so now than High School Musical, the biggest smash hit they've ever had, because they're
It's
not
such
only
a cultural phenomenon.
yeah, it's just such a big cultural phenomenon, and because Disney Plus exists at the time where it is kind of growing and getting sequels, like it's even more of a thing. Because back then when High School Musical was on, yeah, we watched it a lot, but it was because you had to catch it when it was on, or you had to get the DVD. Now with Descendants, it's on Disney Plus. You can literally restart it right as you finish it. You don't have to see 10 episodes of Hannah Montana and then it'll be on the next morning. Like, this is a big deal for this generation. And I think it's earned it. Like, this is one that my mom is a middle school director. She directs kids musicals, and they're doing Descendants now as their musical. Like, it's such
Mine
a
are
phenomenon.
begging me to do Descendants.
My sister was in it. She played the evil, not the evil one, the one who's the good one, but their villain. The is it Sleeping Beauty's daughter or something? I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's so clever. Like Ingrid said before, my internet cut out on my end. Very fan fictiony, but in a good way. Like I think it honors the legacy of what came before it, and it is so different. And obviously Cameron Boyce. I mean, tragic loss. Love him. So sad he left us as early as he did.
So good in this movie.
So good in it. Yeah, it's just so charismatic, so great. Chad probably knows him from Grown Ups. He plays Adam Sandler's kid.
I love him in that
love
too.
Cameron Boyce. Rest in peace. So glad Descendants is represented because also it represents the new, and I think a lot of the new sucks, and I think this is the one exception. So I'm glad you kind of represented some of the new stuff, even beyond Lemonade Mouth and all those things. When I sent Chad that list of like newer phenomenons, it's stuff that I had not even seen either, like Lemonade Mouth, another movie that hasn't come up yet, and then this, because these are the big ones now that are like dominating the conversation. So this is a must watch, even if it's not your cup of tea. I think it's important for the legacy of DCOMs, especially because DCOMs are kind of at an end with Disney Plus. So all right, enough of Descendants. I will listen back to what you all had to say when I was rebooting my computer for the second time tonight. Carly, you're up now with your final 2 picks. Yay! What are you gonna pick?
My final 2. So
I promise Ingrid and Austin, this last round goes a little quicker. So if it's getting late, I promise. I know you're off of school now, but
we are off of school.
So I'm going to start with one that's more of a heart pick. I don't know how popular this one is. I just know I watched it a ton when it was on, and that is Stuck in the Suburbs.
No! Stuck in the Suburbs.
Okay.
Twice you have broken this man's heart.
Oh, okay. I almost wasn't gonna pick this one, so that's really funny.
Hat is off.
Okay. So Brenda Song is so good in this movie. I love her so freaking much. I love her in everything, but like I really like her in this one. But her and I think it's Daniel Panabaker are so.
It's one of the Panabakers.
Their duo in this is just so good. Like I love how they like bounce off of each other and how they're just like they steal this guy's phone and they're like messing with his style and his life. Just
they steal Taran Killam's phone from SNL, like the Taran Killam before he was Taran Killam. Yeah.
But no, it's just so funny. Like they mess with his hair, they mess with his appointments, they're messing with his I don't know if it's his publicist or his assistant or whatever, while doing it, just being like, yeah, we have this phone, what are you gonna do about it? It's just great. I also love how Daniel Panabaker really likes him, but doesn't want Brenda Song's character to know that she likes him, so she like lies about liking him to like be her friend and seem cool. And like I definitely did that a bunch in middle school, just lying about what you do or don't like. And so that was just very relatable. Like, I mean, middle school, I lied about it's ironic. I lied about not liking Disney Channel because I had a friend who thought it was lame and stupid. And it's just kind of.
Are they still your friend? Are they still your friend, Carly?
No, that was
okay.
That's long
then
story.
I will say they are lame and stupid. If they were still your friend, I wouldn't say that. But
sounds like I don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah, I mean, if they're watching, like, I don't want to offend, but like,
no, they're not watching.
You don't call people lame and stupid for liking lame and stupid things, because they're probably not lame and stupid.
Yep. Yeah, well, it was more she didn't like it, so I was like, well, I have to not like it because she doesn't like it, type of thing. But anyway, it's just very relatable teenage thing that I just love seeing in this movie. I don't really have much else to say. I adore this movie. It's so freaking good. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah. I'm upset you picked it, but it honestly makes it easier because my whole thing was like, I didn't think I was going to get Halloween Town, so this was going to be one of my other picks. So now it just makes it easier for what my last pick is going to be. It's great. You've said all the great things about it. This is one that came out before I started watching DCOMs, but it reran a lot, so I got to see it early on my DCOM explorations. And yeah, it's great. It's so good. I love the poster, how it's like the little street signs. I think it's great. Very memorable. Sticks with you. Just fun, it doesn't have a really deep message, really. It's fun. Yeah, so that's all I have to say about it. Austin, Ingrid, have you guys seen Stuck in the Suburbs? Is this, because I know this is like the cream of the crop for my generation, because obviously Carly and I were both thinking it, so I don't know.
Yeah, this is actually, I feel like, a gap of time in my DCOM. Like, I feel like there's some like before, because this is 2004, so I feel like
Yeah,
there's some like
pre-High
before
School Musical.
2004 that I'm really like into, and then like a lot of mine are like that 2005, 2006. Like I feel like that's where my real like cream of the crop in terms of DCOMs are. I think this was more my sister's jam. And just a fun fact, me and my sister are very good now in terms of our relationship, but when growing up, me and my sister were not close. So if my sister liked something, I did not. And so I think that's kind of what Stuck in the Suburbs ended up getting for me, was something that my sister liked. So therefore I was like, eh. But I have like, I've seen it once or twice since, and I like, it's a solid movie. It's just not one that I like go out of my way to be like, oh yeah, Stuck in the Suburbs. But it was, I think it was on somewhere. Towards
It's like number 8.
It's like, no, it's at like number 20, 22-ish for me.
Okay. Yes, it's there. It's teetering. Ingrid, was this in your window of Disney Channel original movie watching?
This is another one that 1 year age difference matters.
Okay.
I think like I was so little when this movie came out. But like like when I think of this movie, I literally just think of the song that's like, you're stuck in the suburbs, like whatever. Like that's all I can imagine. But like I'm a big fan of the actresses and all that. So like I feel like I don't even know if I have seen bits of it or not. I definitely have heard of it. Like it's been in my mind, but like I don't know that I've actually seen it. And I don't know a ton about it. So I don't have like a strong opinion.
Yeah, if anyone's an SNL fan, Taran Killam, Frosted Tips. That's all I got to say. Chad, I assume this is one that was just too late for you, but maybe I'll be surprised. Have you seen this one?
So like around this time, everything was a little bit spotty, but because I was like shifting out, like right before High School Musical came out, so there were like some that like I'm seeing like the names of them, and I remember either seeing a lot of like trailers for them or watching them. But for some reason, I think this is actually one that I did watch back but I was like 14, so I was like sort of becoming too cool for DCOMs, like Carly's ex-friend. And yet I remember watching it and liking it. Maybe it was because Taran Killam's in it. I think the main female leads are great too in it. The main wait, is Brenda Song the main one or the other one? Or are they both the leads, really?
They're both leads, but Danielle Panabaker's a little bit more.
Danielle Panabaker. I think
she's in the Friday the 13th remake. She's also in
I was just
Sky
about
High.
to
She's
say
the girl. She's the lead woman in Sky High. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Why
okay.
is that not a DCOM?
Because
Right.
I remember a lot watching the Friday the 13th remake, and I'm like, where is she from? And so I had to have watched Suburbs and then Sky High, and just kind of like in my subconscious, I was like, I know her from somewhere. So I'm pretty sure I've seen this. I remember liking it, and I can't wait to rewatch it. Good pick.
She's also in Piranha 3 Double D.
I didn't see that.
Which I'm sure Chad watches every year. No, I'm kidding. All right. Carly, you get to round us out now. You stole one pick from me. Steal the other one. I'm kidding.
I don't think
I love how generational this is, because there's picks that everyone's been picking from me. So you know what? I'm at peace with it.
I don't
Carly.
think this is on your list, but it might be. I don't know.
It's
So I'm going from a very fun one to a very serious one that almost doesn't feel like a DCOM. I am picking The Color of Friendship.
Good one.
So this one, I just remember, like, this is one of the first movies I saw that like teaches you about racism, and like it's not just surface level teaches you about racism either. Like it talks about like apartheid in South Africa, and like it's just so impactful that it's just so hard to.
We lost Austin, and it looks like we lost Chad.
Chad, are you here?
No, Austin's back. Chad's emotionally out. It seems.
Sorry, I have no idea what happened.
That's okay. It happens. It kind of all happened at once. Ingrid left and Austin popped away, and then Chad just kind of sulked.
Ingrid had
was
to use
sad.
the
I feel so bad now because I thought I was upset with Stuck in the Suburbs, but I saw Chad's Letterboxd rating for the Color Friendship, so I know how much this is hurting.
Oh,
But
really?
Continue, Carly. Continue. No, this belongs on the list, so continue. Carly.
Yeah. So it's
Put the
just
hat back on. It's not my moment anymore.
it's just so it's just so complex. Like it talks about, like I said, the apartheid in South Africa, and like so you have like the black girl who lives in America and the white girl who lives in Africa, and they have like an exchange program, and like they become friends, and it's just interesting like how the white girl from Africa like really opens her eyes to like racism, and not like just generic racism that you might teach in like a kid's special. Like it's very deep and like very impactful, and like they even talk about protests that based on like a South African police killing like someone in South Africa, and it's like it's so serious and like so impactful. Like it's not surface level at all. Like it's so freaking adult, and like I don't remember it being that impactful when I was a kid, but like it's just really cool like how it introduces young people to this. Like it feels so different than every other DCOM that we've talked about. Like it's not light I mean, it's light. Like they are friends, they have their light moments, but yeah, I just think it's very affecting. And like when the white girl goes back to South Africa, like she shows like solidarity to her maid, and like it seems like she really wants to make a change, which is it's just so radical. And yeah, it's just amazing. Like I did not rewatch this. I mainly like read synopsis and looked up a few clips, but definitely when I have more time, I need to rewatch this because it sounds like an amazing film, not just an amazing DCOM, but an amazing film. So
this is one I haven't seen, but like I've seen on every list. It's like up there, because it is so different from what you're saying is like the norm. So yeah, I'm glad you brought it up. I'm glad it's on this list. I was worried it wasn't going to be. Figured maybe someone would bring it up, but I'm glad you brought it up because I think it belongs on a draft board of the best. Even though I've never seen it, I think just for what it stands for, it belongs. Chad, you look distraught. And I feel bad because I know your pain here. It happens to all of us, the best of us.
I'm
How do you feel
saving
about
everyone this draft.
I mean, hey, it's on the board. So that's a win, but I know you probably wanted
in his brain it was gonna be on the board. It was just gonna be on his board.
Right. But with the last pick, I mean, you would have had to let it fall to 25.
Get a solid ringer on the last pick.
Listen, if it's that good a movie, it shouldn't be the 25th best movie on the list.
Correct.
It should be higher. So I see, but Chad, talk about the Color Friendship. I almost said the Color Money.
Yeah, so I love this movie. But I was gonna pick it for my fourth pick, but then I got all psyched the fuck out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I
now it's my
figured
fault.
I figured you guys are all so fucking young that no one's gonna pick Colored Friendship. It's gonna be safe for me, and yet I didn't get it, but it's fine. I do have another one that I will get that I also fell in love with. But Carly's absolutely right, and I'm so glad that she picked it because, yeah, you guys are right. It definitely deserves to be on the list. I was like watching this, and I stopped Carrie, and I was telling her, I was like, okay, if you look at like all of like DCOMs in its like little realm kind
Bubble,
of exists. All of cinema, just in general, there's so many different types of genres and levels of quality, and like some have good acting, some have bad acting. It's cinema in like in a on a not a macro scale, but a micro scale. And if you look at it and you look at the Color of Friendship, that is a best picture, like Oscar bait level movie in the DCOM sphere that I'm like looking at. I'm like, holy shit. What is going on with this movie? This came out on the Disney Channel. I'm like, it's like so mature. They're actually saying like certain racial slurs and things like that. I'm like, whoa, this thing is real. And I remember back because I was like 10 when this came out, so I was like very immature and like what I knew and thought I knew about like racism and like race relations and stuff. Very immature on it, but I remember it came out like in February during like Black History Month, and it was like a whole cool thing where they were like, just they were like really tricking it out with like, celebrating culture and things like that. And The Color of Friendship came out, and I remember being really wowed by it, but I don't think I was as wowed by it until I watched it just recently as a 34-year-old, where I'm just like, oh my God, this is like so mature. Everything that Carly said, this is one of the 3 ones that actually made me cry. And it was that last shot. I won't say what the last shot was, but it is that last shot with the one of the main characters who has changed now. I don't know about fully, but like, really is on a path, like the father, the congressman says, and I just love how they have her come in, and it's really real. Like you can really see the acting in this is so good, especially like even from the children. I think it's just so next level, where they're like really expressing like this, like generational, not generational, but like this, like I guess generational, because they're showing like how a lot of like the parents will really never change, but like the younger generations, when they can actually go and see something else that's not their little racist bubble that they've grown up in, when they can actually go and see something else that's different, and can actually, really be in a place that they can be challenged and changed in that way, and stuff. And yeah, there's just so much in this movie. And it's also really fun. It's like a really fun, like, it's not just this like serious, like I need to put on my serious cap for this. There's a lot of fun sequences where they're going to the mall and like dressing up and becoming friends and having fun and stuff like that. It's a true DCOM too, but like it also like really kind of goes to another place. And I'm like, wow, okay. So yeah, so this definitely was going to be something I was going to pick. I do have something else gearing up, but like it wasn't like really as like disappointment that Carly picked it. It was more so shock, because I thought that I was just going to get it at the very end. And I was like looking at it as like my number 5, but I have another one that I think is really good too. So
good. And I am sorry if I let you get
paranoid
okay about it. If I had known you hated the 13th year, I wouldn't have said a thing. I just didn't want you to pick that one, and you didn't pick it. You let me get it. So I'm thankful for you, but I'm very sorry I did that.
It's okay.
I am to blame for that. Ingrid and Austin, I mean, Chad and Carly said so much about it already, but anything else you have to add?
That's great, because I've never seen it. So
yeah, me neither.
Now added to the list that I need to.
Yeah, Ingrid?
I haven't seen it either, but I have heard of it. And I remember like randomly hearing about it on Twitter as a teenager. Like I guess just like scrolling through and being like, "Hey, remember this movie, The Color of Friendship?" And I was like, "What is that?" And I'm just really glad that it exists. And I'm glad that like not only is it a movie about like racism and what Chad was talking about like how, the grown-ups may never change, but like the youth can bring us forward, which I think is such an important message. Like I'm glad that it's not a movie that like I feel like there's so many movies that have that kind of theme that people are like, oh, like it's gimmicky, or like like this movie like just kind of exists, but like it's not good, or like tokenism, things like that. Like I'm glad that it's like an authentic film that like seems to be, obviously I haven't seen it, but like seems to be like a good quality film that like actually resonates with people, rather than just like, oh, Disney made a movie about racism, like right. Which is so like common, and I feel like in Disney when they're like trying to spread a big message that's important. Absolutely. So I'm glad to hear like from people who have seen it that it's actually like worthwhile. So I will definitely check it out.
There you go. Well, yeah, Color Friendship off the board here. Controversial in the fact that a lot of us wanted it, but it was worthy of being on our draft board nonetheless. But Ingrid, you will get now your final pick here, joining Lemonade Mouth, Camp Rock, Princess Protection Program, and Descendants on your board. What would you like?
I'm gonna keep the theme of like later films for this group. This is one that I actually don't think I watched when it came out. I think it just like missed me, but I watched it for the first time a couple years ago, and I really, really enjoyed it. And now I'm kind of a champion of it in a lot of ways, and that is Let It Shine. This movie, gosh, I want to say it was like 2010s when it came out. I don't know exactly what year off the top of my head. It stars Tyler James Williams and Coco Jones. Tyler James Williams of Everybody Hates Chris, 2012. Thank you, Chad. And basically, like, there's a little bit of like a I want my dream, not yours, Dad theme, but there's also a little bit of like there's a little bit of a false identity. There's a little bit like there's a lot of the tropes that are in other films, but the music is fantastic. It resonated really well. Before I was teaching middle school, I was teaching high school in inner city Baltimore. And it's a movie that resonated really well with my kids there. And like, there's a lot to be said about like, I think it does a lot for hip hop as a genre. And like, I am not hip hop's biggest fan either. But I think like that's part of why I enjoyed it so much is like, it gave me this perspective, like this different perspective. Like I'm a music teacher. I teach children about different types of music and like ask them to appreciate things that they don't really understand yet or don't want to appreciate because they want to stay with their thing. So like, who am I to also not do that? So I think it does a lot for the hip hop genre. I think there's a small religious theme, which is interesting, but not in like a Christian, like be a Christian kind of a way, which I appreciate as well. But it has a lot of the things that I love about other DCOMs in it as well, with a like Black cast, which is also, you know, very noteworthy, and with hip hop music and things like that, which is unique in a DCOM sphere.
Cool. Yeah, Let It Shine. I've never heard of this one. Like, this is one I just like. I guess when it got to the bottom of the list of like newer stuff, I just kind of scrolled through. I was like, oh, Descendants, Lemonade Mouth, and then there was like another one that I'm not going to tip in case Austin or Chad picks it. But yeah, I just this one escaped me, so I'm interested to check it out now. It sounds great. Anyone thoughts on Let It Shine? Anyone seen Let It Shine? Austin, have you seen it?
I've seen it. I'm not necessarily. I'm not like pro or con. It's. I think I agree with all of the benefits of the movie that Ingrid has mentioned. It's not something that I personally like think is amazing or not amazing, but I agree with the cultural significance that Ingrid brought up.
Nice. Carly or Chad, have either of you seen this one?
I haven't seen it. Isn't he the guy from Abbott Elementary? Tyler
Yes, yes, he is.
Yes, and Walking Dead. Yeah, he's great.
Yep.
Chad, any thoughts on this one? Let It Shine. Have you seen this one?
I haven't seen it, but yeah, I love him in Abbott Elementary. So I do really want to see this. I like when there's like familiar people in stuff that I can watch in DCOMs. So that's really cool because I didn't know he had a DCOM movie. Other, you know, Everybody Hates Chris and Abbott Elementary. So I do want to check it out. I like the themes that Ingrid was talking about, and also like I'm just very interested to see what the setup is.
Yeah,
because it's like, you know,
I didn't want to give like too much of the plot away.
Well, I'm just like sitting here looking at the synopsis for it, and then I'm just like, wait, he's got to like hide basically like one of the most popular, like coolest forms of music out there.
Yeah,
from his friends and family. Like they're gonna be like, man, you shouldn't rap. That's not cool. And he's like,
it's like Footloose.
What are you talking about? This?
It's very Footloose. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is totally cool. What are you guys talking about? Are you serious? Like.
Yeah. Well, that was my mom's biggest complaint of Footloose. My mom's like, why in any world would they just like hate dancing? Like it's just so stupid. Yeah. And like they try to justify it like trauma.
Yeah.
But, like,
there's definitely like a religious aspect of like why they would rather him not.
Yeah, but like look at Kanye who raps about Jesus. So
exactly. No, and that's absolutely true. That's absolutely true.
But then Kanye's also crazy, so I don't know. sorry for bringing Kanye up.
I also think this is like before Kanye was really rapping about Jesus yet, so there's that too.
Right.
Maybe this is inspired. Cool. Yeah, so we'll have to check this one out. Austin,
I know how Chad feels now.
Yes. Austin, you are up next.
Okay.
What would you like for your final pick?
I am I'm just so happy that I literally was able to get 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 on my list in my draft
Nice.
here.
That's awesome. I love
Because
that.
number 6 still has not been taken yet. I
What's
feel
the
like
new one, number 8? I'm kidding. We'll wait.
yeah, not tipping my hat on that. I think you kind of just referenced it when you were talking about newer things. I think that's where my new number 8 is, but it's not my
Gotcha.
number 6 here. I think you have actively avoided talking about the franchise that my number 6 is in a few times now. But something that I had mentioned that I didn't want to like tip my picks to in the chat earlier was that I think I have like a kind of unpopular opinion about some DCOMs that I think was going to be evident in my higher draft choices.
Okay.
Not necessarily with like Smart House, Wendy Wu, and Luck of the Irish, but High School Musical 2 was up there. Halloween Town 2 was up there. I'm a big sequel guy when it comes to DCOMs. And a franchise that I feel like you have referenced a lot and not brought up yet. Cheetah Girls.
Uh-huh.
I will be taking Cheetah Girls 2.
Cheetah Girls 2. Okay, because there's
Girls
3 of them
2.
now, right?
There are
There's
3, yes.
3 of them. So Cheetah Girls 1 is in the US, in New York and all that. And then Cheetah Girls 3 is where they go to India. But Cheetah Girls 2 is the one where they go to Spain. And it is just there. I feel like there are songs in the first and there are songs in the third that don't hit for me. And there's not a single song in the second one that is a miss for me. Very similar for me, like High School Musical 2, where like every song except for All for One is just an absolute banger.
Leave All for One alone.
Yet you choose Huma Huma Nuka Nuka Apawa Aha.
That's what I'm
Not in the
saying.
actual film.
Okay, that's fair.
Not the
That's fair.
actual
It is on
movie.
Disney Plus now, though. If you,
Yes.
it's defaulted. Okay,
Insane.
I love them both,
yeah,
but
Cheetah
I
Girls
just okay.
2, I love them going to Spain. Yeah, I saw that the second we hopped on.
Get a
here,
load of
and I
this
was like,
guy.
I wonder which movie Dylan wants.
Just looking at the track list, and there's not a skip here. There's not a single skip.
Period.
I don't know what you're talking
Whip
about,
out
sir.
the CD.
But no, I love the visuals. Like Spain is just gorgeous in general, and they really do a great job in Cheetah Girls 2 of like amplifying that and showing you how beautiful Spain is. I think it gives all of the girls more to do than the first one, where I feel like the first one is very Raven heavy, very Galleria.
Oh my god.
Obviously, so you know,
and like
I
makes
know
sense.
why. Yeah,
But like 2 really gives Adrienne Bailon's character a chance to really shine. It gives Sabrina
Bryan.
Brian, yeah.
Mhm.
Sabrina Bryan's character. I think the one thing that the Cheetah Girls movies as a whole don't do very well is giving the fourth one. I am forgetting her name.
Kylie
Aqua?
Williams. Yeah.
Yes. None of them, even the one where Raven is gone, still does not give her really her moment to shine. Even once they make the Cheetah Girls 3 people, she is still not like really proud. But it divvies up the attention and the story among the girls a lot better. Again, the music is killer for me. And it's just, it does a better, like, I feel like the one complaint you might have about Cheetah Girls 2 is that it is very similar to like the first one in the story of like Raven's character does something that the rest of the girls don't really love, and then there's like that falling out, but then there's that reconciliation by the end. But I think the falling out is more natural and less childish in the second one, whereas it feels very childish and like dumb in the first one why they all fall apart. But yeah, no, I've always been a huge Cheetah Girls 2 fan. It was number 6 on my list, and I'm very happy to have gotten it.
Yeah, and I think it's worth noting the second movie is the one that Kenny Ortega directed, which I think also is part of it.
Kenny
You know, the first and third were not
Ortega.
directed by him.
Yeah.
He's the guy who did the High School Musical movies. So yeah, I think that's also a big part of it. I don't think I've actually ever seen these movies all the way through, but I know the music so well because the music played on Disney Channel.
Oh, and that's the other thing that
like,
I want to say
MTV style
too.
music video.
When I think of Cheetah Girls, I think of the songs in the second one. Like, I don't immediately jump to like Cinderella or things like I think of Strut.
You're telling me you don't think of Amigas Cheetahs?
That's the second one.
I thought it was was that not what they sing at the end of the first one?
They
Oh
might
no,
sing
they
it
sing
in
the
both.
Cheetah Sister song. Never mind.
Yeah.
Ignore me.
But so yeah, that's the second exactly.
There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Help me
Proves
prove
the
my
point.
point.
Sorry.
But I think of the
Sorry.
songs in the second movie before I think of the songs
Yeah.
in the first one.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen these just by like in passing, but I've never sat down and, like watched the Cheetah Girls. But like it's part of that cultural meiosis where just like being on Disney Channel of that time, just watching other shows, the music just kind of seeps its
And
way
how
through.
they
Just being
play
a
the
big
music
Disney,
videos. They play the music
Right.
videos and commercials in Disney Channel,
Right.
like in our time, and so
Yeah,
you've
and-
seen all
and
the
being-
clips from the movie too.
yeah, and being a big Dancing with the Stars fan, Sabrina Bryan just
Yes.
robbed twice. Came back on All Stars and got 7th again. It's one of the biggest robberies in Disney
When
with
you
the
talk
Stars
about
history.
these
She's so
Disney
good.
Channel stars and professional dancers getting robbed.
Yeah.
Austin
Listen,
gets real mad.
she's still a star, even if
Yeah.
ballroom is different.
No,
I
but
don't
no, I'm saying like to tangent 2 seconds on Dancing with the Stars.
He
I
gets
feel
mad.
like the people who have a dance background as stars get penalized on Dancing with the
Right,
Stars
and they
when they
shouldn't,
shouldn't.
because like that's the whole point. You are a star. You're there to
You want
dance.
to be the best
you dance.
dancer.
Yeah, like I have
Heather
dance experience.
Morris.
So what if I ever go on that show? I'm just gonna get unfairly. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Someone else talk about Cheetah Girls. Ingrid, talk about Cheetah Girls too.
Yeah, so I have seen the Cheetah Girls 2 exactly one time in my whole life, and I vividly remember it because it was at a get together at somebody's house for a show I was in high school. So there's like 70 kids there. And we're all sitting in the living room, the same living room that should not fit 70 kids in it,
Jeez.
watching Cheetah Girls 2. So like I remember like 1.5 things from it, and one of them is the la na ni ta na 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 ni ta na na, which is like a classic Spanish folk song. And like I know that like really resonated like with my mom and my family, who I guess she has seen this movie and I don't remember it that well. I actually watched the original Cheetah Girls for the first time. When was that? Like over the summer, Austin? Yeah. And I was like, why are they 5? Why are they 5? But that's a whole other can of worms that I don't want to talk about.
Yeah, a lot of these
in
Disney
case
Channel stars
somebody drafts the original movie.
are so young
Um,
in like their first iterations. You're like, wow,
Like
they were kids doing some of these movies.
like
yeah.
babies. But like I so like just like a general thoughts about the Cheetah Girls. Like I love what they stand for. I love that it's, you know, 3 girls of color in this 4-girl group. I think that's awesome, especially for the time period. Like they stand for girl power. They stand for like there's so much diversity within the group of girls. Like I think that the Cheetah Girls are such an important part of like millennial culture. And so like I'm really glad it's represented. I literally was like when I went to the bathroom earlier, Austin was like, what are you picking? I was like, I have a couple of ideas, but I don't really want to pick Cheetah Girls because it's not like my heart and my culture, but I also want to make sure it's represented. And he was like, it will, don't worry. And I was like, great. So I knew he was going to pick something Cheetah Girls-y, but I'm really glad it's here because it is such a pillar of DCOM that we hadn't really talked about yet.
Yeah, it's like the last of the big
it's
franchises we haven't
beautiful.
picked yet.
It's
yeah,
beautiful.
like it's like you gotta get
I'm
Halloween
so glad
Town, Camp Rock, High School Musical,
Yeah.
Xenon, and I feel like this is the other big franchise.
Yeah.
It
I have a lot of thoughts about the original film, having seen it more recently, but I'm going to save them in case somebody drafts that film.
Cool.
And if they don't, I can say a thing or two about it at the end.
Yeah, well, there's 2 people left to draft it. We'll have to see.
We'll see. I don't know.
I might
I don't
not, 'cause
want to. I don't want to
kinda-
step on anybody's toes.
I just kind of said I haven't seen the full movies, or at least don't recall. But maybe Chad will. Chad, what do you think of the Cheetah Girls 2?
Probably not. I don't think I've seen any of those movies, to be honest. I
There you
think
go.
they were almost out of my time, but I mean, I do like Raven a lot. So I am interested to watch these when I get to them. Although before Dylan brought it up, I was thinking about bringing up the Kenny Ortega fact that maybe there's something that Austin is onto as far as like, hey, I ended up liking the Kenny Ortega one the most, and then I'm like,
effect.
yeah, and then I'm sitting there just thinking like how great it would be to do a Kenny Ortega ranking at some point.
Hey, I'll do it.
Oh, slay.
You know,
I
that
like
Cheetah Girls 2, Hocus Pocus, and then 3 High School Musicals, 3 Descendants. There you go. Like
Iconic.
it's a
That's
good
what I'm saying.
filmography though. Yeah, I mean he's also got Newsies and Pretty in Pink,
Newsies, that's right.
Ferris Bueller, Dirty Dancing. If you're
Wait.
talking about his choreography.
Yeah,
Um,
probably just his directing, unless
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. But other than that, yeah, I haven't seen it, but I want to get to it because it sounds fun.
Cool. Carly, any thoughts on the Cheetah Girls 2?
Yes. I this wasn't when I rewatched a ton, but when I did watch it, I loved it. Of course, it's like a group of girls that are singing. I absolutely love Cinderella from the first movie. Like that song is just, I love it. Like I just sang it so much as a kid, even though I didn't watch the movies that much.
It
But
is
I
the
did.
best song in the first one. I will admit.
I was literally just listening to the Cheetah Girls 2 soundtrack last week. Like that soundtrack is so good. There's not a bad song. It's so good. And what I remember of the plot of the second Cheetah Girls, I really liked. I really thought it was like really effective with them in this new place. And yeah, so it's a great pick. I'm surprised it took this long for someone to grab it.
Nice. We'll talk about a little bit in honorable mentions if the first one comes up then. But I am last, or I am next to pick last. Chad will be our Mr. Relevant pick here at 25. But for 24, the penultimate pick in the draft, I wanted to reserve it for something. I wanted to go one of two directions. Either wanted to pick an animated film or my first DCOM that like I ever watched. And I decided, you know what, for this draft, because the animated film I'm thinking of will also probably be discussed on the Disney Channel series draft, I'll save it. So I will go with the one that was my first DCOM, the one that even before High School Musical, like this is the one that I remember watching, at least the one that I recall watching first. I was 7 years old. I remember watching this when it came out. Like Stuck in the Suburbs came out before this, so like I saw that on reruns. But like this was the first. This is the one that intrigued me. It's a little bit darker than most Disney Channel movies, but it stars a big star at the time and a big Hollywood 4-time Tony-winning legend, Frank Langella, and that is Now You See It, which is, if people know me, they know I love magic. I love magicians. Like that's a big hobby and interest of mine. I'm not very good at it, but I love watching it and trying to crack the codes. I love movies about like skeptics and stuff like that. Like Late Night with the Devil that just came out earlier this year is all about that skepticism. Oh, it's you're trying to prove the trick wrong. Because it's a little bit more obscure, it's very of its time. Like in terms of like, it didn't get that big cultural buzz, but it stars Allie from Allie and AJ. She plays this like producer who is trying to get on this reality show about magicians, like choosing the next great magician, but she's a producer, so she has to go seek out a magician. She seeks out a kid, and you start to figure out as the movie goes along that he's actually a wizard with magical powers. He's not a magician, and that the evil guy who runs this like program, played by Frank Langella, like literal icon of cinema, who cancel culture has done its job with him in terms of the public eye, but it's still a great actor. Is like this really menacing evil presence that challenges him. It essentially becomes like Whiplash. Like it's a student teacher kind of power dynamic between this like magician and this magician's trainee apprentice type deal. It's very interesting. And then at the very end, the way it kind of culminates in this big magic show, Frank Langella basically plots to kill this kid by like making a 1,000-pound weight crush him after he levitates it. Like it's very dark, but it also is one that I was intrigued by as a kid, getting into magic because it is still family friendly enough. I had a big crush on Allie from Allie and AJ. Their cover of Do You Believe in Magic was like a very viral hit at the time. So yeah, this is just one that like when I think of like the first DCOMs I ever remember watching, it's this one, and then I remember watching Stuck in the Suburbs, another one about a dog that I won't dip in case Chad picks it, and then High School Musical being the one that kind of came out right after that with Twitches. And that's when I was really just in too deep. But this one so good and very underrated. Like I feel like no one talks about it, but I figured for the last pick of my draft, it made sense to pick one that's very personal to me. I rewatched it today to make sure it held up, and it does. It's it fits the tone. It balances the tone really well between being enjoyable for the whole family, but also like having this darker edge, which even like Halloween Town and Twitches don't nearly go as dark as this one does. But it is still a DCOM. There are still those moments. There's that assistant with the camera who is very much like the kid from the 13th year that Chad was talking about, the kind of the dorky kid. Like I think that it fits all those archetypes. So really cool. There was another movie I was thinking of when I was watching it. I was like, oh yeah, this is just like this. But now I kind of forget it. But I did think of Whiplash, especially at the end. But very weird comparison to make. But if you see it, you kind of know what I mean. Cool. I don't know how many people have seen this one. I don't know if this is very popular. Austin, you have. Carly, you have.
Yeah.
Cool. Austin, what do you think of Now You See It?
It's been a long time. But I remember really liking it. Now hearing you talk about it, it's definitely now it's like the third movie we've talked about that I'm like, I need to go watch that. But yeah, I agree. Young Austin, huge crush on Allison Michalka.
I can never pronounce her last name. What is it? Machaka?
I think it's
Michalka?
Michalka or Michalka.
Michalka.
It's either a ch or a sh.
Michalka.
Fun fact, spoiler alert for any Masked Singer fans out there. AJ from Ally and AJ was on the most recent season of the Masked Singer.
And some of the Cheetah Girls were on it too, right? Wasn't Adrian Bile on it?
Both Adrian and Raven are on the same season.
Yeah. It's crazy. Cool.
But yeah, no, I remember great movie. Yeah, I don't have much to say about because like I said, it was so long ago, but I always remembered really liking it.
Nice. Carly, what are your thoughts on Now You See It?
Yeah,
I love how it has like a ... Now you see it.
I don't remember it that well. I do remember that I liked it, and I thought it was cool with the whole magic thing. And I think at first she's trying. I think this could be wrong. I think at first she's trying to prove that he doesn't have magic, or she doesn't believe he has magic, or something.
Yeah, he's win her over, and then she's sold by a video of a dove appearing out of thin air. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that little memory of that is stuck in the back of my brain. So.
Yeah, and then she tries to spy on the teacher, speaking of his evil plan, and she's videotaping him, and then she goes to play it back for the school principal, and because he's a magician, he's able to make it turn into a fuzzy videotape, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Just little things that just really stick out. But that cover song, that's the first time I ever heard that song. And then when I was on a John Sebastian kick, I was like, oh, this already exists. Love and Spoonful wrote this song. It's not from this really niche Disney Channel original movie. I was like, it's a really good original song if it is, but I soon realized it wasn't. Chad, have you seen Now You See It? Have you?
I haven't. I haven't. But I do also like magic stuff, so I look forward to getting to it. The star Ally Michalka. I actually remember her from Phil of the Future.
Yes,
which is a show that I used to watch all the time, which is a very funny show.
I love
and I remember her being particularly very funny in the show too. So it also makes me want to watch this movie that you're repping because I like her a lot.
Nice. Yeah, Ricky Ullman and Ally Michalka. Yeah, that show was so good. I hope it comes up on the Disney Channel draft because that was one of my favorites as well. So we have a little crossover in generation there. I think the shows, Chad and I, mostly, a lot of them do crossover for us. It's the movies that sometimes get a little bit of a separation. Ingrid, this is a very obscure title if you weren't there, and I feel like this was just a little bit before your time, but any thoughts to add?
Yeah, this is the first one that we've had that I genuinely haven't heard of.
That was mine with yours, with your Let It Shine.
Yeah, so this is the first one that I'm like, this is a movie that exists. But the plot sounds really intriguing, so I'm excited to look into it a little bit. I feel like there's a lot happening, and that sounds fun.
Yes, it's very, very involved. Cool. Yeah, I like to rep a personal pick in the last round, a really deep personal pick.
Yeah.
All these are personal for me, but I don't need to tell people what High School Musical and Halloween Town are, but this is a cool little deep dive here.
You always make your last pick fun.
Yeah. So we'll see if Chad picks that animated one I was thinking, or if he goes another direction, because his final pick was sniped by Carly. So I'm curious, Chad, with the Mr. Irrelevant pick, what will you be picking at number 25?
Yes, definitely not going to be animated.
Okay.
I was between two because I have one that I loved dearly when I was a kid. And I think it actually did hold up quite a bit since. But I feel like I have to pick the other one that I ranked a lot higher because I think it's just genuinely a really great movie. And I think at the end of the day, those are the ones that I'm going to want to recommend to people, not the ones that are super personal to me earlier on. And I'll mention what that is during honorable mentions. But I'm going to pick the really great one. And I think it's sorry, I'm getting tired. I'm going to pick the really great one, and it's Horse Sense. Horse Sense. Okay. So Dylan knows what that is.
I don't,
I don't.
but you had told me about
Oh,
it earlier this week, which is how I
okay.
knew what it was. Because I don't know where you mentioned it, but you mentioned it in passing, and I was like, I have no idea what that one is.
I think I was telling you about like the ones that made me cry and the ones that I just like generally were like,
Yeah,
these
you
are
were like
great
shocked by it.
movies.
Yeah, I had no
Yeah.
idea what this was. So please tell us about it. I'd love to know.
Yeah. So what are God, what are their names? The Lawrence brothers. There are like three of them.
Oh,
And you
Joey
had like
Lawrence and
Joey Lawrence.
I
The
don't remember the
youngest
rest.
one is Andy Lawrence.
Matthew
Um,
Lawrence, Andrew Lawrence, yeah.
And yeah, Andrew, yeah, and he's because Matt Lawrence was in like Boy Meets World and stuff, and Andrew Lawrence was in some DCOMs and other things. Like now that there's no pick tipping, that he was in the Other Me, which is another one that I look forward to getting back to as well. So yeah, they were kind of like around in a lot of these movies and shows and stuff like that. In this era, and this doesn't have the middle brother, it has the oldest brother and the youngest one in it, and I love that because their age is kind of like me and my sister, we're like 8 years apart. So they have like something like that of an age. So it's like the older one is like a Hollywood, he's not really anything, he's kind of like the son of rich people in like around like Los Angeles, and so he's got a lot of money. He's selfish. He just wants to go hang out with his girlfriend. But the son lives on like a cattle ranch or like a horse ranch, really, like a farm, like a horse ranch. Yeah. And they're about to lose the farm, the ranch. And yet he's got plans to go visit his cousin in Los Angeles. So he goes to do that. But then the cousin basically just doesn't do anything with him. Like he wants to go to Disneyland, he wants to do all these things, and his whole time gets wasted. And then when the older guy's parents find that out, they're like, "We're gonna send you to the ranch, and you're gonna like do whatever they say. We hear any bad reports, you're gonna lose everything or whatever." And I love to see how like that whole setup changes this character and like really like shows them like the value of not just like the value of hard work and you're pulling yourself up by the bootstraps or anything like that, but like just the value of caring about something, about someone, and just like what it really means to not be selfish and go with like what you think might be the best path and instead be someone that you can count on and someone that helps someone get through a hard time, and not just like about to lose your rants, but like getting over like a recent death as well. So yeah, that one, like I was watching and I was like, whoa, it was like the same feeling I had like with The Color of Friendship. I was like, this is like actually really freaking great movies, because when I watch DCOMs, it's not that like I think they're all going to be bad and they're all just going to be like for kids, and I just watch them and I go, all right, that doesn't really hold up, but I loved it when I was 10 or 9. And yet this one, I was like, I vaguely remember this. And then like, I probably liked it when I was a kid, but I like fell in love with it as an adult. And I was just like, wow, this one is actually really special. And, I think if you check it out, you'll see what I mean. Cause, it feels like a movie that you would just watch just outside of the DCOM sphere, and
it exceeds
it's something
the
incredible.
boundaries.
Yeah. So.
I definitely want to check this one out. I knew nothing about it. You told me a lot about it, but still, like, I really want to go in this with a fresh mind, because I not heard a single thing about it until I saw you smack that 5 stars on a Letterboxd. I was like, oh, okay. Like, it looks great. That piece, anything above a 4, I'm like, whoa, like this is real. So yeah, I'm very excited to check it out. I think you said so many great things. I don't know if anyone else has anything to add. Has anyone else seen this one? This is a very
never even heard of it, but this sounds really great. Like I definitely want to check it out. Like,
cool. Yeah. Any
really
other
cool.
thoughts, Carly, Austin? No. Cool. So yeah, that's gonna be how we wrap up the draft with a very personal pick, but I love it. I love how our draft boards do reflect a lot of generations and those of us who are kind of in between with reruns and stuff. So I am going to rattle off everyone's draft boards. I wrote it down on this big guy here, so it's time to rattle them off, and then we will get into some brief honorable mentions because I know there are still a lot of them out there. But Carly's draft board. High School Musical 2, Cadet Kelly, The Wizards of Waverly Place movie, Stuck in the Suburbs, and The Color of Friendship. Ingrid, Lemonade Mouth, Camp Rock, Princess Protection Program, Disney's Descendants, and Let It Shine. Austin, Smart House, Wendy Wu, Homecoming Warrior, The Luck of the Irish, Halloween Town 2, Calabar's Revenge, and The Cheetah Girls 2. Dyl, Twitches, High School Musical, Halloween Town, The 13th Year, Now You See It. Chad, Xenon Girl of the 21st Century, Johnny Tsunami, Brink, Under Wraps, and Horse sense. Sorry, I don't know why I said it like that. Horsense, like nuisance. But it is the presence of the draft that makes us all happy. But we now must talk about some honorable mentions. I'm gonna go first just because I have very few. There are a lot I really love. There's a lot of just great Halloween. I almost said Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah, everyone. Halloween themed ones like Don't Look Under the Bed, Phantom of the Megaplex, Mom's Dating on a Date with a Vampire, stuff like that. All the Descendants sequels, Halloween Town sequels were in the realm. The animated one I was going to pick, though, would have been Kim Possible movie, so the drama. I love that. I love it as Ron shippers. We were all very, very happy when Ron Stoppable and Kim Possible got together at the end of that. That like kind of shook the world. So an amazing, amazing movie. And then another deep cut one, if I couldn't get Now You See It, if somehow someone else had that deep cut. Life is Rough also kind of came out in that 2005 2006 era. Kyle Massey and a dog.
So good.
Love it. There's a lot of like dog movies like that are just like boy and his dog. I feel like they really went back to the well with that a lot. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. The Disney Channel to movie bridge that was really bad that I was referring to was the Sweet Life movie.
I knew it. I knew that's what it was.
Sweet Life movie is terrible.
So
That's not the one, though. That's not the one that I would have canceled the stream for. And I will wait till the very end to let you all know what that would have been. I also hate Zombies. Zombies is bad, but like that's
I thought Zombies was the one you were talking about.
No, I mean that's another. It's my least favorite one is Zombies, but I'm like I understand at least why it's popular and why people love it. Like it's just not for me. Another one that I just have never seen that I saw just as like one of the big cultural touchstones of this new generation is Teen Beach Movie. Haven't seen that one, so I don't know.
That was my new number 8.
I was shocked that Austin didn't pick Teen Beach Movie.
Yeah,
I love
I know
Teen
that's
Beach
another
Movie.
very,
Austin
very
loves
show.
Teen Beach Movie.
Well, let's go to Austin because you did have your ongoing list. You kept swapping out 8s and 7s. And what else is on your list that you want to bring up?
Yeah, so the next one would have been Teen Beach Movie if anyone took either Halloween Town 2 or Cheetah Girls 2. That was like where I felt like I was in a danger zone potentially. Teen Beach Movie. It's fun. What Ingrid was saying about Descendants with like her kids. I teach high school.
And they love Teen Beach
and
Movie.
Teen Beach Movie, not so much anymore. I think now I now have all Descendants people too, but like flashback 3 years ago, to like so I feel like kids who are like starting college right now or like about to graduate college, that's like a Teen Beach Movie. That's their thing.
Right. Okay.
But also right here in the same area, I also had Cheetah Girls 1 that I would just pick if Cheetah Girls 2 had gotten taken from me. Jump In, the Corbin Bleu Double Dutch movie, I think is very good.
Yeah.
I almost went kind of in like the holiday spirit, this theme with The Ultimate Christmas Present, I think is a really good underrated movie that gets forgotten about. I believe, again, Brenda Song is that one as well. There's blank stares. People not know what this one is.
I've never heard of that before.
I've never heard of it.
So Santa makes this weather machine, this weather changing machine, and it gets like left somewhere or something. But one thing leads to another, and I believe it's Brenda Song who's in it. Her character finds it and turns it on, and it like kind of Frozen-esque sets off this like really harsh.
Yeah. Okay. I know.
No, I have seen that one.
I've never. I still am not with you.
I was scrolling through the list and I saw it, and the only thing that I can remember about that really is Brenda Song, and like I can very vividly remember what the machine looks like. It's like this small bronze, kind of looks like a robot almost,
Yeah.
like egg-shaped thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, that. That's the weather machine.
No.
Yeah,
Yummy.
this completely missed
yeah.
me. No
Uh,
idea.
The
Interesting.
Proud Family movie is on here for me, as well as another like animated one that I think is very good. I love the little like peanut people on the island.
Yes.
The Good Luck Charlie Christmas movie
Good luck, Charlie.
is
It's Christmas.
also very good.
Yeah.
I had Life is Rough. The Even Stevens movies on here as well
Mhm.
for me.
Yes.
And yeah, that's really it. I had Radio Rebel written down as like the 25th one if
Oh
things
my
got really
gosh.
dire.
I would have been mad. I mean, I wouldn't cancel the stream, but like, we could have just made fun of Debbie Ryan's face in that one scene.
Yeah.
A beautiful face, but that face she makes is there's
Yeah.
a reason it went viral. Chad, any honorable mentions from your end? Probably on the higher end of the release dates, but I've loved hearing all this different perspective from old, new. But what are some of your honorable mentions you had?
Yeah, just going kind of through the years. Also, the Even Stevens movie, of course, I had to get that in. That was like my favorite show. True Confessions, because I was just a big LaBeouf fan back in the day, so I loved that as well. That was another kind of serious one. Jet Jackson the movie. I watched Motocrossed. Of course, Xenon the sequel. I got into Phantom of the Megaplex, Mom's Got a Date with the Vampire. I loved all the spooky ones.
Yeah.
The Other Me that I mentioned, Quint,
Mm.
was a
Quint's
really good
good.
one. Miracle in Lane 2.
I've seen that one.
That was the Frankie Muniz one.
Mhm.
And Carrie and I have been talking about this movie because she was like, I remember like watching that, like that getting really sold.
Is that the
to
one where
me.
the 2 is like a number 2, so you think it's a sequel, but it's not?
Yes.
It's like Miracle in
guess.
Lane 2, because I kept seeing that.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's Miracle in Lane?
Well,
Because
he's
I couldn't find the first one.
oh,
Yeah,
It's
but I get
based
it
on a
now.
true story, I
What's
believe.
Miracle on Lane.
yeah,
Well,
because
I
he
was like,
builds
it's
like a
sequel, but
soapbox
where's the
car
original?
and
I got it now.
Yeah.
like a soapbox
Lane
car
2.
racer.
It's
Yeah,
a kid
yeah.
with
It's-
spina bifida who wants to be a soapbox car racer.
Yeah, it's it's like a lot of like really young Frankie Muniz
Yeah.
movies after when like Malcolm in the Middle was going on. It was like that and like My Dog Skip. I don't know if you
It's
guys
super
ever
cute.
remember that. It's cute, but I feel like it's probably really like cheesy.
Probably.
Like really
I watched it when I was
cheesy.
like 12.
And then you have let's see, I'm sorry, Alley Cat Strike, the bowling movie, is pretty awesome. Up and Away is a superhero movie that was kind of fun that I watched. You Lucky Dog is a Kirk Cameron movie. Before I guess he got like really super religious. And then I remember Can of Worms being a lot better, but I didn't really vibe with it this time. Although Genius was the other one that I almost picked because I adore that movie, and I don't know. I wish this were 6 picks instead of 5.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Some of those I just haven't. I've heard of them because I'm looking at the list now, but I'm like, some of those are just so foreign to me. But I really want to go back to like the earlier days of DCOMs and really watch through some of those. Carly, any honorable mentions you have?
Yes. So I had both the Even Stevens movie and the Proud Family movie. Both just I think about all the time. Like I think their plots are so unique and interesting. Kim Possible, still the drama. If A Stitch in Time had been eligible, I definitely would have drafted it. But so the drama's still good, just not my top.
Gotcha.
I love Read It and Weep. That one is just so good. I love that one. Halloween Town High, Return to Halloween Town. Pretty much all the Halloween Town movies were somewhere on my list. Jump In, Minutemen's really good. Camp Rock 2, Motocross, Get a Clue with a young Lindsay Lohan, Pixel Perfect, and 2 movies that I thought were DCOMs but were not is Life Size, Sharpay's Fabulous Adventure, and Sky High. All would have been
Sky High.
If Sky High were eligible, that's your number 2 overall after HSL
Yeah.
2. I would have gotten the second pick,
Freaking
or
love
I couldn't have
Sky
gotten the
High.
second pick because the wheel fucked me. But Ingrid, what are your honorable mentions?
Just trying to see. There's not a ton on my list that didn't get picked by somebody, which is not surprising to me. One that's on here that nobody has said is Geek Charming with Sarah Hyland. That one is surprisingly cute. At least from what I remember. I remember watching that one on TV. And then the Phineas and Ferb movie, that I'm pretty sure that's a DCOM, right? The Across the Second Dimension.
Across the Second Dimension is, yeah. The other one is the Disney Plus one, but that one is eligible. Yeah, was eligible.
Yeah, that one is like, as far as like show movies go, like when you were talking about animated, Kim Possible is like 3 seconds before my time.
Right.
So like Kim Possible doesn't resonate with me as much as other things, but Phineas and Ferb was like it for me. And then Starstruck with Sterling Knight
Okay.
is another one that's like in that area. But it's like, even then, those were like movies that I had that I was like, I will be satisfied if these end up on my list because all of my stuff is taken. But like, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Just like perusing the list real quick, just in case.
Well, I'm glad no one brought up my my
I'm scared to find out what it is. I was convinced it was the Sweet Life movie.
No, it is the atrocious live action Kim Possible movie from years ago.
That one's so bad.
I rarely turn. I've never left a theater unless it was my health at risk. I have only rarely turned off a movie once I've started it, and this is one of the rare exceptions. I just started it. I'm like, this is not it. I'm just not gonna. It's very cosplay-ish. It was the fact that if that had gotten picked and one of the actual Kim Possible movies animated, I would have even let Stitch in Time get on the list if it meant not getting this remake on. So I'm glad no one else has a fondness.
Disgusting. I just clicked on the
I know
the
it looks
title
so
of
cheap.
it on the list you said.
The
Picture is horrible.
It looks so cheap. They don't have an understanding of the characters. Because it's live action, you can't do half the things you can do with animated. So I'm just very glad it didn't have to come up and we don't have to speak of it.
Yeah,
again.
I don't remember the plot, but I remember when hearing the plot being like, that's so fucking stupid. Why would you do that?
I didn't know this existed until you just brought it up.
I knew it
Even though
existed.
I had this list. I had no idea that it existed.
There's one movie that I don't see it on your list. Or on the list.
It's number
but
108.
I wanna check because I'm pretty sure it's a DCOM.
What is that?
16 Candle, not 16. Yeah. Is it 16 Wishes? The Debbie Ryan one?
Whoa, I like that one. I think.
Yeah,
that's like when we were talking about Radio Rebel, I had it in my mind and then I forgot because I didn't write it down. But it's a cute one.
That is cute. I like that one.
It's like she's turning 16 and she like has this 16 wishes that she wants to have come true when she turns 16, and like they start actually coming true. And like the ramifications of that.
Yeah, maybe it's looking like it might have been a partner with another channel.
Maybe because I am very sure it aired on Disney Channel.
Yeah, it did.
But so did Sky High. So I don't know.
Wikipedia page says that it premiered on Disney Channel.
But interesting. Yeah, because it was made for the Family Channel in Canada and then Disney Channel here. So maybe it was a co-production. I don't know. So maybe they don't list it. Either way, yeah. If you had picked it, I probably would have looked it up and allowed it on my end. But I don't know about everyone else. But yeah,
I would. I mean,
it's Debbie Ryan. It's Debbie Ryan.
Yeah, they also did a Freaky Friday remake, but at least you're remaking a live action movie, so it's like whatever. But remaking Kim Possible, I'm like, just keep it animated. Like you could still make an animated Kim Possible movie now. Like Christy Carlson Romano is still young. Like I don't know. Love Christy Carlson Romano. Anything else? Anyone?
Yeah, and I heard Freaky Friday actually wasn't horrible.
Yeah, I heard.
Surprising.
Yeah, Chad?
One more that I forgot to mention was just the scariest DCOM I've ever seen, which is Don't Look Under the Bed, which is one that I would have loved to have on my list because I watched it as a kid and I wasn't into horror then, but like I was freaking scared. So now I'm really excited to turn off the lights with Carrie and just like watch that again and just be like as like an actual horror fan. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm just looking through. I think we hit on pretty much everything. That's awesome. Yeah,
everything that matters.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only one people are going to be upset didn't make it on is maybe like Teen Beach Movie, but like that's kind of past all our generations. So I think everything else we did pretty well. Just kind of showcasing all the different decades. And yes, it's 3 hours and 40 minutes long, so we're going to call it a night. But I do want to quickly, if anyone has anything to plug, I mean, Chad and I are here doing our show, but I know Chad has other channels. Chad, you want to briefly mention them?
Cinema Chad, welcome to Primetime.
There you go. For horror stuff there, welcome to prime time. It's great. And then Cinema Chat for rankings and all that jazz. Austin and Ingrid, I know you don't have like film podcasts and stuff, but we love having you on here. You will be on our next episode of Recipe for Reality very soon, where we're gonna look back at the draft, fantasy draft and stuff. But any other final things to remark before we call it a night?
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Merry
everybody.
Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Happy holidays. We have been talking about wanting to do a podcast together since like before we were dating. So maybe one day it'll happen. But
you guys, yeah. And if you
I
ever
don't
need
know.
and you're
We'll
always
let y'all
welcome.
know.
You're always welcome here. I know signups sometimes it gets competitive to get spots on or whatever. And I know Julia was supposed to be on this and she gave up her spot for Ingrid. So
shout out to Julia Rowe, my queen.
Shout out to Julia Rowe. And Carly, anything else to plug? Anything else to mention? Anything else to tease?
No, I would just plug that if Flow is in a theater near you, you should definitely see it because
there you go. Good
it's an
plug.
amazing film.
I will say the last thing to mention about Julia Rowe. I do actually, I think I might be really thankful that Julia wasn't able to do this because I think if I was going to compete with anyone on some of my picks, I think it was going to end up being Julia Rowe.
Yes, I've seen her Letterboxd, and yes, I think you would have had a tough time.
That would have been. She might have also gone very sport heavy too, though.
Right, everything works out for a reason. So thank you guys so much from Dylan, Carly, Ingrid, Austin, and Chad. We hope you all have a good night, a happy holidays, and a happy new year. This is airing after Christmas, but it is before the new year. So stay tuned. Tomorrow, when you're hearing this, tomorrow you'll be getting the Disney Channel draft, meaning you will get to hear about the series, and we each have to pick at least one animated series. So you're going to probably hear about Phineas and Ferb. You're going to hear about Kim Possible. So yeah, it's going to be a fun time. And Disney Junior and XD are allowed, so it's going to be a really interesting conversation. But we have some great guests lined up for that, so stay tuned for that, and we'll see you. Vote on the polls; they are now open. Go to the Facebook page, Dyl Pickle Movie Network, and vote for your favorite. We cannot vote for our own; we have to vote for someone else's. And try to also let the video inform it. Some people vote blindly without even watching the videos. Like try to at least hear the reasonings, hear the passion before you judge the 13th year. That's my plan. And I will go watch Brink tonight. Thank you guys so much, and have a nice new year.